All right. Good morning. Welcome back to day 10 of the Darrell Brooks trial for the parade massacre in Waukesha, Wisconsin. Um, I got started a little later today than I had planned. As I was getting ready, I got sucked in by the emergency motion. It's about time, isn't it, Static? Um, and good morning. I got sucked in by the emergency motion filed by Kate from Masshole Report against Delete Laws, seeking to sanction him and hopefully sanction him by tossing the case for his threatening behavior. Um, so, good morning, Susie. So, a little friendly, not legal advice is if you're suing someone, don't send them repeated correspondence saying, "I don't care if I win or lose. I just want to drain you financially by litigation." You're not going to have a good time. And also, it's probably best that you don't. It's a mess. Um, but last piece of not legal advice is if you are suing someone pro se and you have assistance of counsel, which he's using in the sovereign citizen vein of, well, it doesn't have to be a bar attorney. The Sixth Amendment says I can have the assistance of counsel. Um, if that person isn't an attorney, there's no attorney client privilege. So there's the absolute moron at the YouTube channel Discussing Law who is assisting delete laws. I'm sure that Kate's attorney already has a motion. Well, he already has a subpoena ready to go to have this discussing laws person uh, deposed. The only thing that'll stop that deposition is proof that he's an attorney. I don't think that proof exists. So, morning, Steve. Um, so basically, yeah, that's why I'm late. I got sucked into that. Um, I think the plan is looking at the tea leaves. This should be a short day in court because the jury's field trip is this afternoon. I think the prosecution's going to do their absolute best to rest before the field trip. Um, Mr. Brooks, I'm sure, is going to do everything in his power to delay that and to obstruct the field trip. But I have a feeling first thing tomorrow morning is his opening. And it's going to be a mess. And judging by yesterday, exactly, if he has his way, it'll never end. Um, but judging by yesterday, one of the first things to discuss this morning before the jury arrives is his witnesses. And I have a feeling the prosecution's going to rescind their offer to schedule the witnesses to get them in because he refuses to give them the information they need in order to help him. So his case in chief could be very short. And with that, I've run out of tea leaves. So let's jump into the live. I fast forwarded. I should be pretty close.
Yes, 1848. May I have the appearances, please?
Morning, Teresa.
Yes, good morning, Judge.
He's getting more and more desperate. He'll keep acting up.
Sir, would you please state your name for the record?
I'm here as a third-party intervener in that matter, appearing as authorized representative for my client. I accept the value and return to value all of the charges instruments in this matter and make my exemption available for discharge of all obligations and charges connected
His
with this case.
exemption.
I do not dispute any of the facts in the charging instruments, and for the record, I do not consent to being called that name.
So you admit?
The record should reflect that the individual known to this court as Darrell Brooks is present in person in custody. He is in street clothes, wearing a suit and tie and a mask.
I don't consent to being called that name, Your Honor.
I understand,
For the record.
And I have advised you previously that I will continue to refer to you at times by that name, as I believe it's appropriate given the charging instruments in this case.
It's a nonsensical
Other evidence
sovereign
now that's been
citizen
received
thing.
during the course of this trial where I believe we are using the accurate name. With that, I
don't agree to that, Your Honor, or consent to that.
Ask me during the
lack of
break.
consent is noted. So before we go forward, I need to put a couple of things on the record. I know Mr. Brooks has filed some things, but before I get to that, as I told the parties on Monday, I had excused one of the jurors for a health reason. And it has come to my attention that I now have a second juror with the same health concern. Out of an abundance of caution, I am going to bring the jurors out to question them about
Probably
their,
the C word.
Whether any of them have any concern about continuing to serve on this jury, given the health concern. I am referring to a COVID concern. I'm not going to ask any particular juror whether they've tested positive or not, or whether they've had an exposure. But I am going to ask them questions about their willingness to continue serving, whether it's interfering at all with their ability to pay attention. Out of an abundance of caution, we have brought in 2 air purifiers, although I am told that because of the new building and the HVAC that's in this building, and I received this from our facilities manager, the new HVAC system in the court's tower has a UV light system that disinfects the air at a higher air exchange rate.
It involves
the
the fake straw man accounts they believe exist.
Designed so that no special standalone systems are needed. But again, out of an abundance of caution, we've had 2 air purifiers put in this courtroom.
It's pure nonsense.
We're putting a third one in the jury room. We have also
not that one.
Provided
5-letter
jurors,
C word.
should they wish, with masks. We've increased the hand sanitizers and the disinfecting wipes. We've always had the hand sanitizers around. There's one on the jury box at the moment, and they've been in the jury room. I'd also like to put on the record that I did advise the jurors on Monday that one of the jurors was not going to be with us any longer due to a health concern. I asked them at that point if anyone had any concern. I did indicate at that point it was a possible exposure, and they all indicated no, they didn't have any concerns. But again, out of an abundance of caution, I feel it's important to now question them while they're in the jury box to ensure that there aren't any issues related to that. So with that, I am
That
going
would
to
really
instruct
suck
the
if they
jurors
had
to
to
be
call a
brought
mistrial.
out for that purpose. And then they'll be excused after that so we can continue the discussion regarding that, and then deal with, if need be, the other issues and
Although I'm
filings that have
sure
been
they'd
brought
just
to my attention today.
delay instead of mistrial. It would be difficult to delay, but the resources that have already gone in, they just they can't do a mistrial. I'm not surprised. At this point, they're invested in this.
Will we be addressing subject matter jurisdiction?
No, you will not.
No, not at this time.
Still has yet to be proven for the record. I don't know if the audio is on, but
The judge doesn't have to prove it.
All rise for the jury.
You have to prove there is no jurisdiction.
They're behind you. I don't know if you can see. Oh, wait, if you could bring me that. Michael, I'm gonna hand you this. We're not gonna take testimony at the moment. This is preliminary. Thank you, everyone. Please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I brought you out here. We are not taking testimony at the moment. I have made a record previously regarding COVID-related concerns with the jurors. I know you are all aware that one juror was excused due to a health concern. I also put on the record that on Monday, when I advised the jurors of that, I asked you all if anyone had a concern regarding that, and that no one indicated they had a concern. I have been made aware of a second issue and potential exposure. And so I wanted to make a record in open court and to ask
I'm
each
sure
one of
by
you
Monday
if
they'll
any of you
know
have
one
any
way or
concerns
another
about continuing your service in this case
if
due to
anyone else
exposure
was
to
exposed.
COVID. And so I'm just going to go through each one. Hopefully I can see all of your numbers from here. I'll just start from the back row and move from my left to right, front row, my left to right. And I also want to let you all know we have a very, very good HVAC system. I made a record of this while you were not here. But this is a new building. It has brand new technology. I've been told that the HVAC system in the courts tower, and this was told to me by our
It
facilities
clearly
manager,
has very
has a
good
UV light
technology.
system that disinfects the air at a higher air exchange rate than purifiers, but out of an abundance of caution, I've had 2 air purifiers also put in this courtroom, and I've had one put in the jury room. I believe you would be able to confirm for us as
Exactly.
well that when you got into the jury room this morning, there were extra sanitation supplies along with masks. And so with that, I am just going to identify you by number. First of all, juror number 11. Do you have any concerns about continuing your service in this case, specifically related to COVID?
No concerns.
All right, thank you. Let me actually go back to, would the fact that you may have been exposed in any way interfere with your ability to pay attention and ultimately render a verdict in this case?
No.
All right, thank you. And then, let's see, I know our bars, well, juror number 48, if you could also answer those 2 questions.
No concerns, both ways.
All right, thank you. And then juror number 46.
No concerns.
Thank you. Juror number 34.
No to both.
Thank you. Juror number 27.
Electric duct tape.
Thank you. Juror number 30.
No concerns to both.
Thank you. Juror number 1.
No concerns to both.
Thank you. And then what's your number? 6. Juror number 6.
No concerns to both.
Thank you. And then juror number 14. I'll just start there.
No concerns to both.
Thank you. Juror number 10.
No concerns to both.
Thank you. Juror number 51.
No concerns to both.
Thank you. Juror number 45.
I am.
Thank you. Juror number 19.
No concerns to both.
Thank you. Juror number 41.
No concerns to both.
Thank you. And juror number 3.
No concerns to both.
All right. Is there anything I haven't asked
So
of
unless
the
I
jurors or
miscounted,
any other concerns
both
related
the
to that that you
jurors
would want to bring to
that
my attention? If so,
have
just
been
raise your
excused
hand.
were women.
There are no hands raised.
'Cause I
can also
counted
tell
for
you,
Feminine voices.
from our initial days of COVID, when
and there
we
were 6
started up jury
originally.
trials, we do have plexiglass panels that I could put in
Ooh,
between anyone
I look
who
forward
would
to
want
it.
one. Is there
I've said
anyone
they
here
need
who
P.
would like that?
Barnes all trial.
If
So
so, raise your hand. No hands are raised. That's really all I have. I
don't
know if
give too
there's
many
anything
spoilers,
either the
though.
parties would want me to ask the jurors from the state on this topic. All right, Mr. Brooks. All right, thank you. I'm going to excuse the jurors then, and then when we're ready, we'll have you brought back out. And thank you so
But
much.
that they've now excused 2, Steve. So they started with 10 and 6. It sounds like it's 10 and 4 now. And we will skip through actual breaks. I'm not going to skip here because it's they're not going off camera, so
Thank
it'll
you.
be hard.
Judge, can we ask you a question?
Go ahead.
We counted 15 jurors in the courtroom.
I excused one.
You excused one earlier in the week too, though.
No. I'm only talking about the one. The other one I didn't excuse.
I see.
Oh.
Okay.
And thank you, I'll
Okay.
make a record of that. I did not excuse given when that person
But,
reported
yeah.
their symptoms and where we're at
He's
today.
getting more and more desperate,
So
Darlene.
it would be,
So that person is here
I'm behind.
and willing to continue serving.
yes.
I definitely
you.
expect
Sure.
nonsense to ramp up.
And I will make a further record that none of the jurors are wearing masks. And I'm not going to mandate. I believe it's a personal choice.
And
that would
hopefully you
also
get
be
to go to
consistent
bed
with, I believe, our county policies as well.
Before daylight,
So unless there's
Darlene,
anything related to that, I have a couple of other issues
because
I
it
need
should
to
be a
address this
short
morning.
day today. It should be.
Go ahead.
The person that's, or the 2 people rather, that are having the COVID concerns. I know you said you wasn't going to ask them had they test positive or the results of any testing. Do you know if there has been exposure on their end to COVID exactly, or is that just
That's
A
none of
caution
your
thing.
business.
My understanding is that I've had 2 jurors test positive throughout the course of this week.
and
I make a further record that they're the only ones within 6 feet of each other, right? They, and perhaps our civilian bailiffs, they've not been in obviously contact with anyone in the gallery. I don't know if maybe Attorney Opper might be within 6 feet. I don't think so.
I don't
but haven't
think
measured it.
the
Obviously,
judge
we're
is
not within 6
actually
feet of any of
a
them.
covered person
But
by
that's a good
HIPAA,
question to ask, and I'm glad you
She's-
asked that.
as she's not a
I'll make
medical
record of that as well.
provider.
yeah, that would
But it's still
be my
inappropriate,
question to it.
other than putting it on the record that there's concerns
I guess in reference to
to
me myself just having the same concern.
you're not exposed
few
to
weeks
them.
ago.
You're kept away from them.
So that would be the reason why I would want to know exactly any details that could be provided.
You're kept away from them.
I'm providing all the details that I will. Again, for the record, you have not been exposed, from my opinion, because of the distance that you are away from them, and my understanding based upon my review of county policy.
Yeah, I'm not saying me myself have been
Understood.
exposed.
Well, that's why I
He's
asked
just
them, though, too, right? I
concerned
wanted
for
to make sure
others.
They had no concerns, or if they had a concern, to see if I could accommodate it in any way. I'm satisfied that if they don't have a concern, that we can continue forward.
Have they ever, the entirety of the jury though, have they been exposed in any way?
I don't know the specifics because of the 6 foot, right, rule, and no one has
I
asked
agree.
me to investigate that further.
If I were
Would
on
it
the
be
jury,
smart, though, to see?
I'd have been in one the whole time, just being
I
in
don't
close
believe that's necessary
proximity
under the
to
circumstances.
random people.
Well, if anything, just for future reference, like what if it plays a part later on?
That could be fun,
I'll certainly
Steve.
take your concerns under advisement, and if I believe any further questioning needs to be done, I'll do that. At this point, I don't believe it needs to be done, but I'll think about that and I'll take it under advisement. And if I change my mind, I'll let you know.
Yeah, I'm just saying, because
I'm just
if
saying.
anything, it probably would be smart for the long run to make sure no one else was compromised, considering that.
Let me make
Yeah.
a record there. No one has indicated they are compromised. I don't think we can make assumptions about how anyone who's been exposed or tested is feeling. You can be asymptomatic and test positive. You can have mild symptoms. I trust my jurors that they would report if they're not able to sit
Morning,
through the
Rusty.
proceedings.
He,
And I will
yeah,
further advise them through the bailiffs that they
He's
are to
infuriating.
report if they
He
ever
doesn't
get to
care.
a point where they feel they're not able to sit through here, and if so that we're advised and I can tell the parties.
Yeah, that's what I was referring to, because it went from Monday.
exactly,
At that time, it wasn't known.
exactly.
Could have been flu, could have been just not feeling well, could have been anything. And then today is, then you kind of worry about
Just shut
tomorrow,
up,
Friday,
Brooks.
over the weekend.
Mr. Brooks, I share
Unless-
all of those concerns.
Unless you
But my other
can't feel
concern
the
is
full
that we
jury,
are
this
in
doesn't
the
affect
third
you.
week of trial, and that we should keep going until the conclusion of this matter, understanding what has happened.
Exactly.
All right, I just wanted to put that on
it's
the
just
record, because
An
I
attempt
appreciate
to
that.
delay
seemed
and
like the
obstruct.
circumstances was different when it was me. Just saying.
Are you making any specific requests given this information?
You are
Well,
not a juror.
I believe that
You did not test
the
positive.
jury clearly all congregate together. I think it would be smart to make sure everybody is tested. I mean,
That's not on you.
it would be smart to do that.
I'm not going to mandate testing for the jurors. That much I can tell you. So that request is denied.
And the grounds for the denial,
Because the jurors have a right to
That the jurors be
privacy.
subject to testing. They're the ones who indicated they are comfortable being here. They don't
If
have
the jurors are
concerns.
worried, they
Again,
can
I
be
would trust
tested.
them to
They have a
report
right
me
to
if
privacy.
anything changes.
You do not
too,
control
but
the jury,
you still would
Brooks.
refer back to Monday, when the first knowledge of someone having an illness or a potential illness
You are not in control here.
was those same questions that were asked today, asked Monday. And
I did
I'm
not.
quite sure.
I certainly questioned them much more. It was a very brief. I put what I said to them on the record
Oh, I
earlier.
hate him.
It was certainly not what we did here today, and the record reflects that.
Right. I'm quite sure, though, that all the jurors Monday said they didn't have any concerns as well. And then now today, someone else, same thing being said. So
I understand what you're
if it
saying.
happens again, same thing being said,
But are you making any specific requests as it relates to this topic and this issue?
well, you denied the request that
Any other requests?
I just feel like
Dismiss
it's
all
smart for
charges.
them to be tested.
That's his request.
so it doesn't come up again in the future, or potentially come up again in the future, because then we'll all be looking back and saying, well, we could have prevented something like this from happening if we had just nipped it in the bud from the get-go.
You're not
It's
concerned.
just smart to, like you say, err on the side of caution.
Exactly.
I
Grounds.
appreciate that. I'm going to continue.
Grounds.
I understand what you're saying, but given the responses of the jurors today, I'm going to continue. I'm going to base this off of their desire to continue, at least what I would interpret.
And
as their
they are
desire
free to
continue
test
with
if
their
they want.
service on this case. All right, then I want to talk briefly about the jury view. I did provide the parties with a proposed instruction. Before I get to that, though, Mr. Brooks, I have been thinking about your request yesterday. And I know I indicated to you that I would
This is a
require you
request
to be
to
there.
not
I've rethought that.
Go on the
I've had
field trip.
overnight to really think about it. And if that is your decision to not be present for
It
that,
would probably
um,
prevent.
what I would say is
respiratory
this.
transmission.
I want you to be advised that you have a right to be at that jury view. Did you hear me say that?
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much told me yesterday about, everything that was going on. I just didn't
He didn't want to
agree
cooperate.
to or consent to it being, well, I was still confused about why did there even need to be a jury view?
Because
That was my
it's
whole thing.
evidence.
I didn't.
The scene of the
I don't see
crime
the relevancy
is
of it.
evidence. The
And
weapon
I also didn't
is evidence.
agree with or consent to having to be part of something that I don't see as relevant.
I
You don't
appreciate
see
you
it as
making a record
relevant.
of that, but did you hear what I said, that you have a right to be present for it? I've ruled that let me back up. There's been a request from the state to have the jury look at the vehicle.
They won't
that
get
was
to rest
recovered
their
by the
case today.
police, and
They
of course
want
is
to.
alleged to be the vehicle that
they
was
won't be
driven through
able
the
to.
parade. Did you hear me advise you of that?
Yes, I heard.
All right, so that motion was addressed previously, and I granted the request for that jury view. Did you hear me say that?
I'm informed.
All right, thank you. So with that, you have a right.
I like how she's
to be
not even
present at that jury
pretending
view.
to play
Did you hear
the
me
understand
say that?
game.
I'm informed.
And I would like you to be there. I believe it is a piece of evidence. That's why I've
Exactly.
drafted
It's
jury
evidence.
instruction
It's
152
relevant.
the way that I did. Did you hear me say that?
I'm informed.
So my question to you then this morning is, do you want to be present at the jury view of the vehicle?
I don't see the reason why I would need to be present.
Because
Well,
you're
that's my question to you, though, is
representing
do you want
yourself.
to be present for it?
You get to
are
see
the
what the
accused in
jury
this
is
case.
seeing.
You're the person who the state
It's the
has
same
alleged committed these acts.
as being
It's
in the
The
courtroom
jury view will
as
be
a
to
witness is
view a piece of
testifying.
evidence that frankly can't come into the courtroom due to its size. And the jury's going to be shown that. So do you want to be present at that?
For the record, I'm not a person. I'm a human being.
Oh, sovereign citizen nonsense.
No, I do not consent to or
I'm not
agree
the
to being
person.
present
I'm a
at
human
the jury
being.
view.
All right, then I'm going to honor his request. But what I am going to do, though, is as part of that process in any event, because it's being done in a secure location, is I have ordered that I want to make a record of what's being done, and I want a visual record of what is being done. And so this jury view is going to take place in the sally port of the jail. And precautions are being taken so that the jurors do not know where it's at. It'll look like a garage, right? Anything that says jail within the sally port is being covered up. That will be verified before anyone is taken in there. They will be transported to there. I'm not sure if they'll walk or drive because it's very close. But then the sheriff's department, because it's, as the court official,
That
I'm in
might
charge of
be
keeping the record, not
insulting
keeping the
to
record. I'm in
evil
charge of
slugs.
making the record. It's the better way to
But
say
yeah,
it. And I want to make sure that there's a record of what is done for this trial and certainly for any appellate purposes if need be. The sheriff's department, excuse me,
judge is coughing.
the sheriff's department is obviously charged with the
She's been
security
hanging out with the
and safety
jury,
of the
clearly.
courtroom, including the jurors. And so I have asked the sheriff's department to record. And so there is a camera with that will be on a tripod that will record what's there before anyone gets there. I've instructed them to take that camera to walk around the vehicle and while it's recording, to put it back on the tripod. And before the jurors and the court are brought in, once we are brought in, it will also be recorded, and that contemporaneous recording. So that will be as we will walk around the vehicle one time.
Around,
that will be recorded, and then both of those recordings are going to be made part of the
They'll
record.
walk around the ground.
Because the second recording is for the record and has the jurors, at this point, I'm going to seal it so that at least until the conclusion of the case, given the order that I have regarding the what's referenced as an anonymous or numbered jury. So that will be sealed. But what will be released to the public or be made part of the public record, and so therefore any media request would be that recording that just shows the vehicle without the jurors in it. and without the court. So, and then I plan on also bringing that back to the courtroom. Well, the sheriff's department's going to bring it back, and then we'll show it to you at that time.
I have a question though.
Go ahead.
If I have a right to be present, then I have a right to not be present. How can this take place if I don't agree or consent to being present? How can it even still take place?
Then that's your right to not be present.
without me.
It will take place, sir. I'm just going to honor your request not to be there.
You can either be
The
there
question,
or not
How
be there.
can it take place without my consent or agreement?
Your consent for it to take place is
If you
irrelevant.
don't,
The only question is your
it's
attendance.
going to take place. That's how I'm going to answer that, sir. So you not going there is not going to prevent it from happening.
My law is.
But you can
No.
forfeit your right or
By law,
to
I
be
did.
there
you can't
by your
stop it
conduct.
from
And by your
happening.
conduct, by
It's
not answering
relevant
my question,
evidence.
by saying I don't want to be there and I don't consent to it.
If you
you
don't
will
want
be
it to
forfeiting
happen
your right
without
to
you
be
being
present
there,
and essentially
go.
waiving that.
Doesn't I have to sign something for it to
No.
be waived?
No.
I don't think so in this case.
Well, yesterday you said something about
I know I said that, and I've
Yeah.
had some time to think about that further. I don't believe I need to take a full waiver with you signing anything or even agreeing to the waiver.
so why did I have to do that for when my
I'm not going to answer those questions because that
Well,
would be for me to give you an explanation of the law.
It'll come out at some
no,
point.
I'm
it
just
would
going to
be-
tell you that I'm not going to require a written waiver from you in order to honor your request to not be at or even if I phrase it, your lack of consent to the jury view.
And is that lawful law? Because
Very
Sir,
delusional.
I'm not
The
going to
way-
go through all the law that applies to that.
The way
This is
I-
my ruling. If you disagree with it and ultimately there is a conviction, you can raise that on appeal. But
no,
your lack
Your
of
Honor.
consent is not going to stop the jury view.
Exactly.
It's going to
It's
happen.
relevant
It's a piece of
evidence.
evidence that I cannot physically fit in this courtroom. It's too big. There's no way to get it in.
okay, I'm informed of that, but
I
at
mean,
the same time,
I think they do.
if
They
I
just
haven't signed
say
any waiver,
we're done.
How
We're
can it
going
be
on our
lawful?
field trip.
I haven't given consent or agreement to a jury view.
That
I
doesn't
haven't
matter.
waived any
Your
right.
consent isn't
When
required.
the whole issue was brought up
You haven't
on
consented
the
to
record yesterday,
any.
my first thing that I
witnesses.
said was, I don't see the relevancy of why there should even
But
be
the
a jury
judge
view.
does. The judge does see
And that
relevancy.
was the whole issue. And yesterday I was
relevance
told
even.
about I don't know how you said the colloquy.
You
or
don't. You
however
don't
you
have
said it.
to
I don't know how
consent to the
pronounce it.
relevance. The
I know
judge
what I
decides
said,
relevance.
and I'm
Yes.
telling you, I had time to reflect. That was my initial reaction to your statement yesterday, but I've thought about it some more and I'm changing my mind.
He's mad that she's
I-
giving him.
I don't believe I need
what
to
he
take a
wants
full
and not
waiver
making
with
him
a
go.
colloquy with you and anything in writing. I'm advising you, you have the absolute right to be there. But I'm also advising
Exactly.
you that if you
His
choose not to
opinion
be there, I will
is
honor
irrelevant.
that request.
His wishes are irrelevant. The law.
And
is
I'm not
what's
going to
relevant.
force you. I'm not going to direct the sheriff's department to, use any type of force, if you will, or require you or get you there without your consent. You either cooperate with that process or you don't.
The way I interpret the law, though, Your Honor, which the law
Your
is designed
interpretation
for
of the law isn't binding.
to be interpreted by the people. The way I interpret
No.
that is
The
I have
judge
the right
makes the
or
decisions on law.
essentially
The jury
to be
makes
there or
decisions
not
on
to be there,
fact.
and it still has to be an agreement or consent.
No.
That's how I
No.
interpret the law.
My ruling on that, sir,
That's
is I
sovereign
disagree
citizen
with
mumbo
you. You
jumbo.
do not need to provide consent for the jury view to happen. Your objection is noted for the record. I'll make a specific finding today that it is relevant to these proceedings, to this trial.
Oh.
There is an allegation that you drove through the Waukesha Christmas parade on November 21 of 2021, driving a red Ford Escape, killing 6 and injuring dozens more. The relevance is that there is In addition to the charges, there's an enhancer that has been charged as it relates to the intentional homicide charges
And
and
a
the first degree
dangerous
recklessly
weapon.
endangering safety, that you committed those acts while using a dangerous weapon. I would direct your
And the
attention to
Ford
the meaning
escape.
of
Ford
a
almost
dangerous
escaped.
weapon, that the legal definition that was provided to the jurors in the preliminary jury instructions, and that the jury view is related to the evidence that the state is presenting regarding the charges, and specifically the instrumentality that they allege is the dangerous weapon. So there's clear relevance
Oh yeah.
of this vehicle and has evidentiary value. Again, your objection is noted for the record,
I don't consent to
but
not being
I
a
will,
multimillionaire.
and am permitting the jury view of the vehicle. With that, I'm going to move on to the jury instruction.
I don't agree or consent to that, Your Honor.
I understand your
If I'm not-
objection is well noted for the record. I need
And
to
it's
keep going.
still
though. On the
irrelevant.
pattern and
I'm
jury.
informed that you need to
pattern-
keep going. I'm not trying to stop you from continuing
You
to go.
are. That's exactly
I'm
what you're doing.
Merely stating for the record that there are things I do not understand how they'll be
Then get a
how
lawyer.
they're being permitted
Get a lawyer. Get a lawyer.
versus the Constitution.
If you don't understand, get a lawyer.
I mean, I'm sure
Not the
you're
court's job
aware
to make you
under
understand. It's the
Article
lawyer's
6,
job.
Chapter 2 about the supremacy clause, that the Constitution is the supreme law of the land. So how can we
And
disregard?
how is this
Mr. Brooks, I'm not disregarding
unconstitutional?
the Constitution. I've
Well, I
made
have-
my, here's the
How
thing,
is this
I've made my ruling,
unconstitutional?
okay? Once I've made a ruling, I do expect that even if you disagree with it, you will not
Or in this
continue
case, Uncle
to
Joe.
argue it,
It's not
that we
arguing.
will continue on
I'm
with the
seeking
next
to
topic.
understand, Your Honor. It's not
Then
arguing.
Mr.
hire
Brooks,
an
I'm not going
attorney.
to explain further other than what I have done, my ruling. My ruling stands. Now, I'm going to move on to the jury instruction. I gave the parties
May I
2
respectfully
documents.
reject that
No.
ruling and take exception
No.
to that ruling?
Your objection is noted. I'm
For the
moving
record,
on
may
to
I
jury.
request a legal or
to-
factual basis for your
Mr.
ruling,
Brooks,
Your
please
Honor?
don't interrupt me, okay? I
Kick him
gave
out
you
already.
an opportunity to raise your objections and to make your legal
I'm
arguments.
raising
And then I make a
objection now.
ruling,
Kick him
and then
out.
you start in on something else. You need to give me your argument all at once. For you to interrupt me afterward is disruptive to me.
It's not
And
disruptive.
it's
It's
interrupting
extremely
and it's
disruptive.
disruptive.
It is definitely not
Well,
disruptive.
if that's
It is.
my view of things, sir, and what I'm putting on the record is that it does disrupt what I'm doing and the flow of what I'm doing, and needing to move on, having to interrupt what I'm doing so that I can address that once again. Please, please. I know you may not always agree with my rulings, but I'd ask that you show the courtesy and decorum that is expected of everyone. And once I make a ruling, we're going to move on. You don't need to keep objecting because your objection's already been noted for the record. I'm going
But
to
maybe
continue.
the
We're going to
fifth
look at
time he
jury
objects to the
instruction
same thing.
152.
Look,
I
still-
gave the parties 2 documents yesterday. One was
I
the
haven't
pattern
agreed with
instruction,
you without-
Shut
which
up.
I've modified,
Wow.
and then one is the
Smothering.
draft of,
Like it don't
and
even
I'm,
exist.
Mr. Brooks, please stop. You're continuing to talk over me.
Because you
You're
didn't,
interrupting.
you said I have the right to object, and you didn't let me even get to the
You've
objection.
already
did,
objected.
sir.
No, you
She
didn't. I was still- I
ruled.
was right
Your
in the middle of
objection
it.
comes before the
She
ruling, not
ruled.
after. Once I make a ruling, we're moving on.
You made a ruling before we even finished the conversation, Your Honor. With all due respect,
Brooks,
before
please,
we
You're
stop.
even
showing
finished,
no respect.
That's not true. Okay?
you
It's
said
not
I'm gonna
true.
make a ruling.
You are showing no respect
As
whatsoever.
soon as you even started in about
Mr. Brooks, I'm not
having
going
the
to
time to
spend
think.
hours on end making a ruling about a jury view on something I've already decided. All right. So please, I'm asking
Well,
you to
Hopefully, early and
stop
No,
often.
this-
interrupting me.
Early
and
and
please
You
often.
can't just
listen.
disregard the United States Constitution, which has a
I
supremacy
absolutely am
clause.
not disregarding the
You are.
United States
How?
Constitution
You're not
or the
honoring your oath
Constitution
of
of
office.
the state
How?
of
Your Honor, are you
Wisconsin.
not a public servant?
Okay, Mr. Brooks,
How-
you're starting to
how
cross the
is
line.
she
You've already crossed it, but I want to keep going. I want
Violating
you in
the
this
any
courtroom.
Constitution.
But if you keep interrupting
Specifically.
me and putting you on notice that
Simply
It's-
saying,
you
"Oh,
are-
you're not,
you
you're
run the
not
risk of
honoring your
being-
oath."
forfeiting your right to be present in this courtroom and continuing in the next courtroom so that I can effectively and without interruption continue with the proceedings this
So again,
morning.
you're holding me in contempt.
She has
All right.
not said
Jury
she's
instruction
putting you in
152, as the
contempt.
state had an
She
opportunity to
never
review
put you
it.
in
Is that a
contempt.
judicial determination that I'm being held in contempt?
And I
You're making stuff up.
agree generally with the court's proposed instruction. I did submit kind of a counter proposed instruction following much of the language that you had in your version, Your Honor. I just think it's maybe better to refer to this area as a garage instead of a sally port. I don't know that anybody knows what a sally port is unless they work in
11
this
months
industry.
in jail is plenty of time to learn.
Instead of referring it as
from a
being in
jailhouse
the Waukesha
lawyer.
County Jail, I just suggested a garage attached to the Waukesha County Courthouse. I think that is factually accurate and would dispel any concerns about anybody being in custody or reference to a jail setting. I did email my proposed instruction to your clerk and I e-filed it, but I admittedly just did that a few minutes ago. So that's why I emailed it to the clerk, because it's probably not in your queue yet.
All right, why don't we print that off so that Mr. Brooks can review that as well?
Is he going to tear it up
Being
like he
called that
did
name. What do I need to be
the
reviewing?
ruling on jurisdiction?
The state has submitted an alternate proposal for instruction 152.
He objects. He hasn't seen it, but I'm
And
sure
that's
he
referring
objects.
to this quote unquote jury view.
Yes.
Quote unquote jury view.
Thank you.
I accept for value in return for value this document. Now, I'd like the record to reflect, I still haven't received my original copies of my filings here this morning
Once again, the judge has nothing to do
with
with
the
that.
timestamp.
The judge has nothing whatsoever to do with that. That's the clerk of court. She has told you multiple times. She helped you a little with it in the beginning, but she told you multiple times. That's the clerk of court.
Let me know when you've had an opportunity to review it if you so choose.
I just stated for the record, I accept for value in return for value the document.
And she wants you to
Do you have
read
any
it.
position on the state's proposal?
I'm still trying to understand the whole process.
Then read it so you
Mr.
can
Brooks, my question
understand.
to you is, do you have any position on
Angrily
the
staring
state's
at the
proposed jury
ceiling
instruction? Otherwise,
does
I'm going to
nothing.
rule on their request.
You're going to rule on the request anyway. I got a lot of questions that don't get answered.
I have to rule on the request, sir. It's been a proposal filed with the court.
You haven't ruled on subject matter jurisdiction
She
yet.
I have.
has.
No, you
In
haven't.
any event, you have a
Multiple
position
times.
on the jury view, sir.
Yeah, what about subject matter jurisdiction?
One last time, Mr. Brooks, you have a position on
Can
the
I
state's
go over the
proposed-
document, please? Can I do that, Your Honor?
You
Respectfully for the record, may I do that?
seriously, you are the rudest person alive. You stare angrily at the ceiling,
It seemed
refusing to read
the
it,
same thing that was there
and then
yesterday.
she talks.
It's not. There are some
And,
changes.
oh, can I
What
read
changes?
it?
Reference
It's
to
the same.
the-
It's the same document. That was
Reference to
accepted for value,
the-
return for value yesterday. The same document.
It's not the same. The changes were put on the record verbally by the state. It's taking out reference to Sallyport of the Waukesha County Jail, referring to it simply as a garage attached to the Waukesha County Courthouse. Those would be in the first two paragraphs. I believe the rest is the same.
So it was a couple words changed.
Yes, and they have to discuss it.
That's my understanding.
I have
So
no
it's the same
idea
document.
about his parentage, but yes.
Let me know when you're finished reviewing it, and
I
have a
don't have
question.
to review
Good
the
morning,
same
Sean.
document that was reviewed yesterday, accepted for value and return for value yesterday.
right, then let me ask you this, sir. Do you have a position on the proposed instruction from the state?
He
It's
objects.
essentially the same document. What was the significance of the change?
They changed
What-
Sallyport
What's
to
the
Courthouse
significance?
Garage.
Sallyport. What is the relevancy of what it's called?
It's
State want to put on the record
They
again the
changed it.
basis for the changes you made.
they have
Hunter.
to
to my way of
discuss and
thinking,
agree
it
on
is
jury instructions.
beneficial to the defendant. It removes any reference to Sallyport, which some may
Exactly.
recognize as being
It's less
part of the
prejudicial
Waukesha County
to
Jail.
him.
It removes reference to the jail itself. And then in the second sentence, the pattern instruction was worded and the
Warmer
court
than it
followed
was
it. You will be
yesterday.
taken to the Sallyport in the custody of the jury bailiffs. I just thought it was better to change that. You will be taken to the garage by the jury
You
bailiffs.
must have seen,
Again, removing the use of the word custody
what's his name?
is it's factually true, but it's really irrelevant.
Oh, what,
And
the
just
lawyer down
to
in
be
Tampa
cautious, Your
that
Honor.
Law Talk with Mike has on his channel all the time.
I don't
He
fundamentally
He did a video
understand
yesterday on
that.
trial by combat in New York.
I think everyone's well aware that I'm in custody. So how does the wording change what's already known? Everybody knows that I'm housed in the Waukesha County Jail.
No, they
How does the
don't.
wording change what's already known? It's reported on every single day, as it has been since the beginning of trial and even before that.
And the
So I don't
jury
think
is
anyone is not privy to the knowledge of where I'm
watching it,
housed and
that-
that I'm in custody. How does changing the wording change what's already known?
Thank you. From my perspective, of course, when I drafted this yesterday, factually, what I put in there would be accurate because that's where the jury view is going to take place. I think changing the verbiage so that it says a garage attached to the Waukesha County Courthouse takes away any possibility that other law enforcement is condoning what is happening or somehow related to the case. It is true, the location was selected due to your custodial status and being able to secure the area for the court, for you, for the jurors, etc. But it's also a controlled environment, I think, a good thing for purposes of the jury view. And so I am going to
Not very
adopt
tasty,
the draft
word
that was
salad.
submitted by the state. It still is factually accurate. And from my perspective, again, the importance of this instruction is to tell them what is and what is not evidence, and to instruct them and to not
if
talk
I were the lawyer,
during
I'd
this
simply
time.
call it a
They can't
secured
discuss what
garage.
they see during this time. This instruction will be read while we are still in the courtroom prior to the parties in the court going to the Sallyport for that viewing. And I've already discussed how it will be contemporaneously recorded so that it's part of the record as well.
So if I was there, where will I be at?
There.
My understanding, if you choose to be there, is you will be escorted like you are in court here now. The bailiffs would be with you. You'd be in your suit.
No, where will I be at?
You would
In the garage.
I don't know exactly. That's up to the sheriff's department as to where all the parties are going to stand. Obviously, you would,
Have your
we're not going to
shocker.
commingle you with the state or the state with jurors or you with the jurors or the court or anything like that. My understanding is we'll have sort of assigned places and that it's only myself who will walk around. And I may not even do that. I have to think about that. But the jurors
she
are the ones
still
who are going
wants
to
him
walk
there.
around the vehicle one time.
So I don't get to walk around the vehicle?
She didn't say that.
I can have you do that before the jurors come in. I certainly can have you do that if you would like. I can give the parties that opportunity.
May I add something else, Your Honor? I agree with everything the court said. I also think Mr. Brooks should understand that it will be a fair process. He's not going to be led into the room in shackles in front of the jury. It's my understanding from Captain Dussault, the attorneys for the state, the prosecution team will be in the room. Mr. Brooks will be in the room. We will be in our assigned location. It will be fair. It will match. There will be basically no distinction between how Mr. Brooks appears to the jury versus how we
And
appear
then
to
the
the
jury
jury.
will come in with them
He will
already
be
in
in there
place.
first. If the court's willing to allow him to walk around the car one time to look at it, we have no objection to that. And then the jurors will come in. No one will speak. They will do one lap around the car. They will leave the room, and then the parties will leave the room. That's my understanding, Your Honor.
And I will add to that, because it's been a while since I had some preliminary discussions with the sheriff's department on this, that if however many bailiffs, sheriff's deputies are with you, I want the same number with the state, right? And that's what we mean by it will look no different. So each party will be accompanied by deputies.
Imagine
I
that,
have a
trying to
question to
keep
that.
things fair.
How come none of that knowledge of how it would be conducted was discussed with me? I didn't know anything about how the bailiffs would actually do
Because
things,
that's
how
jail
certain things would
operations.
go. This is my first time hearing this,
Well, we have
so I
preliminary.
don't understand it.
We had preliminary discussions at the time of the request back in August.
So
when
it
you
was
still
your
were represented by
lawyers
counsel.
That discussed
And then
the
I
procedure.
had some additional preliminary discussions, if you will,
It's almost
internally
like
with court
there's
staff,
almost
which
a full
included Captain
year
Dussault
of
and,
litigation
someone from the
before you
jail
fired your
to talk
attorneys.
about it and the logistics of it. And then, of course,
And you
we're having
haven't read the
discussion
rulings
now,
that were
which is,
made.
again, why there's no jury here now. I wanted to wait until the appropriate time and then make a record of everything.
But don't you
At no
think,
time did I have conversations independently with the state.
Don't
They
you-
had filed a letter at one point because they themselves had, again, my understanding, and Attorney Opera can correct me if I'm wrong, had some discussions with, to see if it was feasible. They had some discussions with Captain Dussault. And Captain Dussault is with the Waukesha County Sheriff's Department. Of course, the Waukesha County Sheriff's Department and the sheriff is statutorily responsible for the security of the campus, security of the courtroom. And so that would be the proper person for any party to have discussions about a piece of evidence such as this. But I did not have any discussions with the state myself. That only happened in the setting of a courtroom or when a letter was received and I reviewed it.
I haven't reviewed that letter or seen it. Don't you think that?
It was specifically addressed at the jury status hearing, at which time he was represented by Attorney Perry and Attorney Keys. It is on file, and
Once
it
again,
was addressed by this court.
11
many of these
months
details,
of
Your Honor.
litigation.
All right.
Many of the
If-
same
so-
details
If
that's
he
being
hasn't
discussed
read
right
it
now
out
at
of
this
those
moment.
boxes,
Mr.
that's on him.
Brooks, do you have a
If
request?
he's
as it relates to any
unprepared,
of that?
it's on him. He fired the
Well,
attorneys.
yeah, I'm still trying to understand the whole how this is all working, and then it was a reference to how the shackles would look, or how being shackled or not being shackled. I'm guessing that I can't just walk around freely. With
Neither
bailiffs,
can the
I'm sure there'll be some type
prosecution.
of shackles.
Neither can the prosecution.
I
You will be in your assigned area. The
tell them you are
prosecution will
not
be
to
in their
be
assigned
shackled
area.
visibly for the jury to see.
And what do you mean by visibly,
And-
Your Honor?
So obviously, when you sit in court, you're shackled to a table. They can't see that. I'm not going to have you in belly chains or in leg shackles. You're just going to be escorted. And it will be up to them how they determine.
Well, he may be in leg shackles, Your Honor, if there's a table or some way that they can keep that out of the view of the jury. Just like he is in court. He's shackled in court. He has been for 3 weeks.
Actually, these are
The security has to be left at the discretion of the sheriff's department.
these are leg shock devices, not shackles.
Sir, the security is up to the sheriff's department. I should be careful not to overstep my bounds on that. And, you know, whatever is done, it should not be viewable or visible to the jury.
And why is that, Your Honor? I don't understand that part.
So it
Why
doesn't
is the jury
prejudice
not
you.
privileged to see
That is to your benefit.
shackles?
I'm not going to explain that any further.
I don't understand. I'm just seeking to understand. I don't know.
All right, I need to move on.
Then
So
hire a lawyer.
Unless there's a specific request, other than a statement that
Yeah.
you're making about your lack of understanding, I need to move on with the other
There
topics
is
I
a
need to
specific
cover.
request. Why do I have to have ankle shocks on my ankles to appear at this jury view thing?
I guess I'm not aware of what you're talking about. So were you advised by the sheriff's department that that would be the case?
Well, the DA just said that I would have the ankle shocks on.
No, shackles, she said.
No, these are not shackles. They're a shock device.
Judge, I think perhaps we can move on. I think maybe because this is going to have to occur on a break.
They need to.
Bailiffs can take him down there if Captain Dussault is willing. Show him what it's going to be like. Show him how he's going to get there. And he can decide at that point if he wants to be there or not when the jury comes in the room. We're spending a lot of time talking about security.
They need to do a cranial shock
your knowledge and my knowledge.
to make him understand.
I object to that. I'm simply trying to understand why.
Then hire a
ankle
lawyer.
shocks?
I'm going to leave the security. I'm not going to make any specific orders. I'm going to backtrack a little bit. I will leave the security of the jury view to the Waukesha County Sheriff's Department. That is their responsibility. And I trust that they will do what needs to be done to maintain the security, no different than what they do here. And in their discretion will determine how best that takes place. And if I need to address anything after that or at that point in time, then it should be brought to my attention. But we are going to move on this morning.
So I should discuss that with the sheriff.
Yes.
You don't want to be there
So
anyway,
I know
so it doesn't
Mr. Brooks, you
matter.
filed with the court 2 documents. I'm going to take them under advisement.
No,
I'm
it's
not
one
going
document.
to.
It's one. It was
Don't
2 papers, but it's
interrupt,
one
you
document.
Oh, all right.
Jackass.
Thank you for that clarification. It's 1 filing, 2 papers, just front side, entitled Alleged Defendant Jurisdictional Challenge and Mandatory Judicial
Oh,
Notice
he
by
actually did it in
affidavit.
writing,
References the
finally.
case caption, the case number. I will simply take it under advisement and I'll review it later. And if I believe it needs to further be addressed, I will do that. But it's my understanding, sir, that you are requesting the original back. Is that true?
Yes.
So normally, just so you know, when documents are filed with the court, we maintain the original until it's scanned in and it's audited. And
And
then
you have to provide it to
because
the prosecution and
under the statute, once it's e-filed or into the electronic filing system and the electronic case, I believe we just destroy the documents at that point. So I don't have an issue giving you back the original, but it needs to run the normal course. My clerk needs to scan it in. I've advised you of this previously, but in the
No one knows
courtroom,
if
we
he's
don't
going.
have the time stamp. We just have the date stamp. I will state for the record that you
I don't
provided
think
this. It was
he
right
knows
away
if
at the
he's
beginning of
going.
the morning. So at 8:30 a.m. is when it was filed with the court. So that will be on the record. And then at some point today, when we're on a break, my clerk can scan it in and then provide the original back to you. And then I'll have the electronic
it's going to
copy
be all
review,
sovereign citizen
and
mumbo
address as I
jumbo.
deem appropriate. Here you go, Madam.
I want to say to that too, in reference to that, I actually said on record numerous times that I wanted the original copies of all my filings. I've actually said that 3 times on the record. This would be the 4th time.
That's irrelevant. That's
Every
As a
filing
courtesy,
that
I'm
I-
going to give it back
That's
to
not
you,
how
sir, but I'm
court
not
works.
required to by law.
Well, I'm just saying on record that I've asked for that numerous times.
You may have asked for
Statements
it.
noted for the record.
But
All right.
that's
So would I be
I've
able to
covered-
get all the original copies of all my filings?
I'm not going to address that any further, sir, because I am not the official keeper of the record. As to what was filed this morning, as a courtesy, we will provide you back with the original once it's scanned and it's in my electronic file.
I was told that you make the decision if I can get the original copy.
And I just made a determination you could have the original back of this.
Can
one.
I have the originals for all my filings?
I'm not going to address that right now, sir. I don't have time, frankly, to look through everything that you filed to determine whether we've given you originals or not. In the future,
I
you may-
have the copies. I don't have
Stop
the originals.
interrupting.
All right, I'm going to move on.
I have
sir.
them here.
This is taking up valuable time with the jury. We need to keep going.
Is that a judicial determination, Your Honor, that I can't get an answer to
I don't
something?
believe there's any other
Interrupting.
preliminary issues we
Stop
need to
obstructing.
address unless the parties have anything from the state.
Just very briefly, Your Honor, to advise the court, I have 4 witnesses here that I believe are very brief records custodian type witnesses on
Very
some video
brief.
evidence.
He's still
I'm
going to
hoping my
extend
direct should take
cross-examination
5
to
to 10
about
minutes for each of
3
them.
hours each.
And then I have 2 police officers who will be testifying. There will be some physical evidence involved when those officers testify.
I'm guessing
And
the
Detective Casey went to
hoodie.
retrieve it and he will bring it to the courtroom. When that moment comes, do you want me to have Detective Regland take the exhibits to the witness stand, or what is the court's direction on that?
I would like you to provide it to the sheriff's department bailiff who's in the courtroom, my bailiff, who will then take it to the witness stand.
Okay, Deputy Bordeaux and, yes, okay, I understand. Thank you.
All right, thank you for the roadmap for today, if you will. Anything preliminary other than the filing, sir, and other than the topics we've discussed this morning?
Yeah, I'm still wondering when I'll get the copies back for the ICFs that I filed.
I can't answer that. I don't have those, sir. You'll have to reach out to Clerk of Court Monica Paz.
Well, what happened to them?
She's told
I
you.
don't know. They're
The
not part
clerk of
record.
court.
So you'll
They
have to
should
take
be.
that up with her and make communication form and ask her for those, but I'm not going to address that any further on the record. All right,
They
let's
should
bring the
be.
jury up.
He's a broken record.
It's kind of funny that they disappeared.
The judge has
No,
nothing
I
to
see
do
them
with it. It's
disappear
the
before.
clerk
Not
of
evidence, sir,
court.
so,
They haven't disappeared before. I've always got copies. What's the difference now?
The judge
All right,
has nothing to do with it. It's the clerk of court.
So I have to readdress
Shut up. The
her the
jury's
same
coming.
thing in order to get copies that I've always been getting since the beginning of
Shut.
you telling me to
up.
file ICF.
So as a courtesy, if you want to make a list of whatever documents you believe you have not been provided copies with, I will, as a courtesy, instruct my clerk, Teresa. They're not going to be dates or timestamps other than what's in the file. They'll be from the electronic file, but you need to provide her with a list, and then I will do that as a courtesy to you. But I'm not required to do that. But as a courtesy,
She's
I will
doing
do
it
that.
to shut
As
him up.
far as any ICFs, if they weren't directed to me, then you will have to follow up with Clerk of Court Monica Paz. I don't have them. They're not part of the file.
Then why were you getting them before?
As a courtesy, she doesn't
You'll have to
have
ask her
to.
that.
I have to ask her why you were getting them before?
My understanding is they were forwarded to me, sir, but we'll.
So what happened to this one being forwarded to you?
She
Sir,
doesn't
can you
have
answer
any
that? Can you
control
answer
over
that?
it.
No,
She.
so
This
the
is
jury's
not
like
coming in.
her
her
We're gonna
job.
keep-
That's
We're
what
gonna
it seems
continue
like.
with the
Up.
trial. So thank
Just
you.
like you avoided
up.
subject matter jurisdiction. You haven't proven that on the record.
Zap him. Gag him. The jury is in the courtroom.
Thank you, everyone. Please be seated. And thank you for your patience this morning as the court addressed some legal issues with the parties. All right. If the state would, please call their next witness.
Thank you, Judge. The
Shut
state
up.
calls Steve Schloman.
Good morning, Mr. Schulman. If you would please make your way to the witness stand, which is up one riser to my right. When you get there, please remain standing. Raise your right hand. My clerk, Teresa, who's on my left, will swear you in.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you, sir. Please have a seat. Just give me 1 second. All right, go ahead. If you would
If
please
only.
state your first and last names for the record and then spell each.
Stephen Schloman, Steven Schlomann.
Thank you. Go ahead, your witness.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Shulman.
Morning.
Sir, what is your job title?
I'm the IT director at Waukesha School District.
And
It's still
are you aware as to whether or
still
not the school
prosecution.
district maintains security cameras at the buildings on the school
Yesterday
district
was-
property?
Yes, we do.
the only out of order witness
It's foundational, the witness may answer.
until
I'm
the
sorry.
Yes, we do.
prosecution rests.
Okay.
It's
And
all going to be
specifically, is
prosecution.
there school district property located
And
at
then it'll
the
just be
address of
defense
222
witnesses that are
Maple
harmful to the defense.
Street or Avenue in the city of Waukesha?
Yes.
Overruled, it's foundational. The state or the witness may answer. I believe you did, and your answer will stand. If there is an objection, sir, wait until I
Okay.
rule on it
Except
before
the-
you answer it.
Once
Thank you.
again, the
Go ahead.
objection comes
What
late.
building is that
He
location,
was
sir?
already answering.
That is our district office.
And is there more than one security camera
I
on
mean,
that
they
building?
were on the prosecution's witness list.
Overruled, the witness may answer.
Yes.
They
How
just
many are
didn't
there,
call them because they didn't need them.
Overruled, the
And-
witness may answer.
I'm not exactly sure, but I believe there's
They
about
were
8.
lucky that
Okay.
he did because
Directing your attention to the
Cross-examination,
days
they could lead
following
'em.
November 21 of 2021. Were you contacted by the Waukesha Police Department for any
it
reason?
all just depends on the court.
Yes, I was.
Depends on the judge.
For what
the
reason?
Clerk.
They asked me to look at my external security camera footage to see if I saw anything unusual on it.
And that would be specific to the building at 222 Maple Avenue?
That's correct.
Overruled, the answer may stand.
I'm going to show you an item that's been marked as, well, let me ask you one other foundational question. Do your security cameras record the activity?
Yes, they are recorded on a digital video recording system.
And can be viewed later?
That's correct.
Okay. So when the police came to you in the days following November 21 of 21, did they ask you to check a certain day and time on the video recording for the building at 222 Maple?
Objection, second to.
Overruled, the witness may answer.
Did
Yes, they
Were
asked me
you asked
to
this?
look at
it's not speculative.
Sunday. Well, this was Monday. When they contacted me and they asked me to look at Sunday at approximately 4:30
That's
p.m. in that range.
generally
Okay. And did you do that, sir?
the strategy.
Yes,
but
I did.
He's
And
dumb.
did you view any video that you thought may be helpful to the police?
Yes.
Did you turn those recordings over to the police?
Yes, I did.
Had you changed or altered the content of the recording in any way?
Objection, leading.
Overruled, the witness may answer.
No, I have not edited it.
I'm
or
assuming
changed it
this
in
is
any way.
from Les Paul.
Now I'm
Middle
going to show
School.
you first an item that's been marked as Exhibit 157. And for the record, Your Honor, I'm just laying the foundation with these videos with this witness. I do not intend to display them at this time.
Will there be more than one?
With this witness has 2.
And that would be exhibit
Th-
157 and.
This is on
158.
Maple,
All right, thank you, go ahead.
one block east.
So,
or,
Is there
yeah, one
an
block
image on the
east
screen in front of
and
you,
about a
sir?
Yes.
block
Okay.
north.
Do you recognize what we're
of where
seeing
he
there,
was
sir?
captured.
Yes.
Could you please tell us what is shown on the front screen of Exhibit 157?
Objection, leading.
Assuming it's Les Paul Middle School.
This is the side of our Lindholm
I
administration.
thought Bill
building at
Gates,
222
but
Maple.
Okay. Do you need to see the, like 5 or 10 seconds played, or are you confident that's what we're looking at here?
I'm confident that's what we're looking at.
All right. Do you believe the video contained in Exhibit 157 will be a true and accurate depiction of the events from this location on November 21 of 21?
Objection, speculative.
Do you want him to see the video first? Why don't you show him the video first?
Well, the video is 20 minutes long, Your Honor.
Oh, all
I
right.
mean,
Or I'm sorry, 11 minutes long. But I think he's made the adequate foundation,
I'm
Your Honor,
sure if
that
you
he's
said, "I'm not
confident where this
comfortable with that
camera is and what it
oath."
shows.
All right, with that, the objection's overruled and
The judge
I'll
would
receive
give you a different
exhibit
one.
157.
Thank you. Now I'm going to display for the witness only Exhibit 158. Do you recognize what is shown in Exhibit 158?
Yes.
Please describe it.
This
Objection leading.
Describe it is not leading.
is our rear parking lot at the Lindholm Administration Building.
At that same address?
222 Maple, yes, that's
Okay.
correct.
Is this a second camera?
Objection leading.
Correct,
Overruled, the witness may answer.
Wait,
correct.
wait.
This is a second camera.
And does this appear to be one of the video clips that you also provided to the Waukesha police upon their request?
Yes,
And for the record, again, Your Honor, this entire video is 11 minutes in duration. Based on the testimony of the witness, I do not intend to play any of it at this time, but I would move to admit 158.
His electric meds.
It's not intended to play. What's the relevancy?
The objection is noted. It's overruled, and Exhibit 158 is received.
How she uses
Thank you. I don't
her
have any other
evidence
questions, sir.
doesn't impact
Thank
its
you. Go ahead,
relevance.
sir. Do you have any questions for this witness?
Brief. Before today, sir. Well, first of all, good morning.
Stay warm.
good morning.
Before today, had you seen these exhibits or videos, rather, 157 and 158?
He provided the videos.
I've seen this video when I collected it off our system.
And do you recall seeing the first one?
Yeah,
Yes, I do.
he provided them to law enforcement.
Do you recall when you saw those videos?
I saw those Monday morning when my detectives came and asked me to review video footage.
That would be November 22nd.
And do you recall the name of the detective that you reviewed the footage with?
I do not recall the name of the detective, no.
Exactly. He has his objection of the day.
And after that,
He specifically avoided watching the video
initially-
as he
well,
gathered
after
them.
initially-
Exactly, Teresa.
viewing these videos, did you follow up with law enforcement after that?
Yes, I did.
And it would be fair to assume that that was strictly about the videos.
Correct.
And had you
That's
obtained
true.
any knowledge
Although
outside of what was
Once-
shown in the videos?
once he starts putting his witnesses on the
I'm
stand,
not sure I
he's
understand the
going to
question.
continue his
Had you
leading
obtained any
objections, I'm
knowledge?
sure.
To why you were asked to provide those videos at that time?
No, I was just asked to look at my videos and see if I saw anything unusual, any unusual activity in the parking lot.
He's just there to lay the foundation of where the videos came from. He doesn't have to have knowledge of the events. He's just there to get the videos admitted. That's it.
And do you
And
recall
that already happened.
being informed that it was a possibility that you would be testifying in this matter?
He showed up
No,
randomly.
I did not know that.
He showed up
Were
randomly.
you subpoenaed at any time?
Yes, I was.
And do you recall about how long ago you received that subpoena?
Several weeks ago.
So pretty recent, would be fair to say.
Yes, I would. Well, several weeks ago. I'm not sure if that's your definition of recent or not, but
That's going to become a problem in the near future. Deep fake. They're
Do you
going to
recall
have
who
to
served you the subpoena?
Objection relevant.
Grounds.
do a
Overruled, the
metadata
witness may answer.
the district
inspection
attorney's
of
office
video
from Waukesha.
evidence somehow.
Do you recall if it was a specific district attorney?
I do not recall.
So this is an M. Night Shyamalan production.
Do you recall if you were contacted by the plaintiff in this matter?
Objection.
Grounds.
Vague.
Shut him down.
Sustained as to the form of the question.
Shut him down. 90611, Judge. Early and often.
Do you recall having a conversation with the plaintiff?
90611.
Misleading, legally inaccurate statement. here.
Grounds.
Sustained as to the form of the question.
90611.
Do you recall having a phone conversation with the plaintiff in this?
Same objection.
If I'm the
Grounds.
prosecution, I'm objecting.
Sustained as to the form of the question.
I'm saying objection, 90611, relevance,
Do you yourself
misstates the
recall?
law.
Do you yourself recall reaching out to the plaintiff in this matter?
90611.
I'm not sure who the plaintiff is. Can you define that for me?
He can't.
The plaintiff would be who's bringing the claim.
And I object. Well, I realize there's no question at this point, but if he's going to ask the witness to answer his prior question, now that he's clarified this is irrelevant.
Misstates
Question.
the law.
Let's see what his question is first.
I asked it.
Please ask your question again so that I'm clear.
Have you yourself ever reached out to the plaintiff in this matter?
And my objection
Exactly.
is
Just
vague.
make it voice activated at the
Yeah,
mention of the
it's-
word plaintiff.
Legally inaccurate.
Except then if
Sustained
people
as to the form of
realize
the question.
they'd start saying plaintiff just to see him jump.
Do you even know if there's a plaintiff in this matter?
90611.
Sustained as to the form of the
Come
question.
on, Judge. 90611. You've got to do it. That was so great. He answered the question, and it made Brooks so mad. Were you marching with a specific group? Yes.
Have
I
you
mean,
yourself filed any?
Do you remember who
Complaint
that
in this
group
matter?
was?
Objection
See,
irrelevant.
He answered the question.
Overruled the
And
witness
Brooks
may
didn't
ask.
say,
I
who
mean, may
was that
answer,
group?
sorry.
What was that group?
I have not, no.
It's
Do
just
you know of
scheduling.
anyone who filed a
Because
claim in
you
this matter?
have to have a
Objection
certified
irrelevant.
interpreter. You
Overruled the
can't
witness may
have
answer.
just a random
I do
Spanish
not.
speaker. But once again, you have to have a certified interpreter.
And do you recall when you submitted the videos to law enforcement?
November
I
22nd.
submitted them
is when he was
on,
requested.
Monday afternoon.
Which Monday?
And do you recall what method you submitted it in?
The detectives came to my office and they viewed the video on my system directly. And then they asked me to put it on a flash drive. So I downloaded it on a flash drive, exported it to a flash drive, and then they took it.
What size was the flash drive? Is it
No further
1080p or 1080?
Any redirect.
No, Your Honor, I'd ask Mr. Schloman be excused.
All right, thank you, sir. You may step down. And he is excused.
Once again, he was there just to get the video into evidence. And the next two my understanding is it's the same, just to get video into evidence.
Good morning, Mr. Stone. If you would please make your way to the witness stand, which is up by me to my right, up one riser. When you get there, please remain standing. Raise your right hand. My clerk, Teresa, who's on my left, will swear you in.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you, sir. Please have a seat.
The first thing I will have you do is to state your first and last names for the record and spell each.
First name is Robert, Robert. Last name Stone, Stone. Two capital I's on the end because I'm the second.
Very good. Thank you. Go ahead, your witness.
Good morning, Mr. Stone.
Good morning.
Sir, on the date of November 21, 2021, where did you live?
I reside at 424 Dunbar Avenue in Waukesha.
Do you have any security cameras at your home, sir?
I do.
And do the security cameras have a way to record or save events that are captured on the camera?
They do.
Objection leading.
Overruled foundational. The witness may answer. And just so you know,
Sir, if there is an objection, wait to answer the question until I rule on the objection.
The objection came
Go
after
ahead.
the answer.
To your knowledge, sure, was your security
Dunbar
camera system
is the street
operational on
directly to
November
the
21
north
of 2021?
of
Objection
Elizabeth
speculative.
Avenue.
Overruled. The witness may answer, and he did. His answer.
Was there a time where you turned over video from that security system to Waukesha Police sometime around November 21 of 2021?
Objection leading.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
In the
Yes.
Waukesha School District.
What kind of security
building.
camera do you have, sir?
It's on the
Objection
corner of Maple and
Overruled. You
Dunbar.
may answer, sir.
Or
It's just a generic
Basically.
NVR system.
Okay. And police came to your house? Is that right?
They did.
Okay. What did you give them?
pretty much.
They came to my house and my mother-in-law had answered and they had asked about the security cameras and she told them that it was her son-in-law's. And then I
You'd be safe,
retrieved the footage and turned it in.
but
to
it
the
would
police
still
department.
be
Before you
inappropriate.
turned it into the officers, did you alter the content of the video in any way, sir?
Objection
Absolutely not.
speculative.
It's not
Um,
speculative.
overruled, please
He
wait,
knows
sir.
if he had
Overruled,
altered it.
the witness may answer.
Absolutely not.
I'm going to have Exhibit 155
I mean,
displayed on the
how
screen in
can-
front of you,
How
sir.
can what he did himself be speculative?
And this clip is 40 seconds long, so I'm going to play it for the witness only in full at regular speed.
Go ahead.
We gonna see Brooks stripping off the hoodie? Because
That's not regular speed, Your Honor.
how would you know?
Please wait
How would you
for
know?
cross. We'll have the state question the witness about that, though.
It might be that his camera records slow or fast.
All right, if you could start it at the 00 again, just put up that. Sir, did you see that 40-second clip that was just displayed?
I did.
Do you believe that's a true and accurate capture of the events at your residence on November 21 of 21?
Objection speculative.
Overruled, you may answer.
It is.
I don't.
I noticed in the
think
upper
so.
right-hand corner
I mean,
of the video, there
he
appears to
has
be a date and
accused her of
time stamp. Do
treason.
you
He
see
has
that?
accused her of
Yes,
judicial
yes.
Do
misconduct,
you believe,
Hold on.
of bias,
Overruled.
of
The
bias.
witness may answer.
Yes.
do you believe that date and time stamp was accurate?
It is, but it's off by the daylight savings time.
Okay,
So
so it reads, what does it read
it's currently reading 4:59.
for the time of day,
Correct.
AM or PM?
PM.
Okay.
Well, that would be about
What
the
do you recall
appropriate
the
time.
real day and time to be?
Objection leading.
Overruled, the witness may
I
answer.
assume that's the
Would have
appropriate
been an
time.
hour earlier.
Okay. And do you recognize the scene that's shown here, sir?
Yes,
What are we seeing here?
my garage and my vehicles and my
I think he's
backyard.
wrong about the daylight savings time.
All right.
I think it would be
Move
the
to
right
admit 155, Your Honor.
Objection, relevancy.
Overruled, the objection is noted, but Exhibit 155 is received. And I'm
No.
sorry, did you ask to publish?
No,
Okay, thank
no
you.
further questions at this time, Your Honor.
All right, very well. Sir, if you do have any questions for this witness,
Yes.
go ahead.
Good morning, Mr. Stone. Before today, had you viewed that footage before today?
Yeah,
Yes.
he provided it.
And do you recall seeing anything unusual?
Not sure I understand the question.
Do you recall seeing anything unusual
What do you
Do you mean
mean
in the
by
footage
unusual?
or-
in the
Yes.
footage?
Go ahead and answer with that understanding.
I guess not. No.
So if you don't recall seeing anything unusual in the footage, what would be the purpose to turn it into law enforcement?
Argument.
Objection.
Grounds.
It's argumentative and a misstatement, Your
Grounds.
Honor.
The way it's phrased, I believe it calls for speculation on the part of the witness, as well as the other reasons indicated by the
He
state. So I'll sustain it as. to the
Didn't
former
decide to
question.
provide it
Why did you turn
because law
the video
enforcement asked
footage
him
into
to.
law enforcement?
I was asked to go through my camera footage.
Law enforcement would have,
Even though you hadn't
Walked
saw
the
anything
route.
unusual.
and they would have seen who had cameras,
Sure, correct.
and they approached him and said, "Hey, can you go back and get the footage from this time?" He doesn't have to determine there's something unusual.
And you
Law
stated
enforcement
that-
did.
The time was off because of daylight savings time,
Correct.
and so it would have been an hour
I
earlier
mean,
than what was
this
being
is a
shown.
couple streets away, so his camera
I
didn't
believe so,
get
yes,
that.
correct.
This is his flight from the car to his arrest. Which is why I think the time stamp is actually correct. More or less.
Can you state where that particular camera is positioned on your residence?
It's on the back of my home facing my garage.
Because remember, he cut through yards trying to escape. Yes.
Do you recall what law enforcement agency you turned that footage in to?
Was the Waukesha Police Department.
Do you recall
Do
the
you recall
name?
what officer you spoke with when you turned in the video footage?
I do not.
Did you expect to be called to testify?
You stated that you saw the footage before today. Any idea exactly what we were looking at?
Recorded footage of my backyard.
Pretty standard to any other footage from any other day?
I guess I don't understand that question.
Is it pretty much the same thing you would see
He's not
any day
analyzing
if
it.
you viewed that footage?
He's not analyzing it.
It's recorded footage of my backyard.
He's just there to testify. This is
Is it pretty
recorded
much the
footage
same
from
footage
my
you would've saw if
backyard
you viewed it
that I
every day?
provided to law enforcement from this time and date.
Sure.
He doesn't determine what's unusual about it.
And do you recall if you were subpoenaed to testify in this matter?
Showed up randomly.
Yes. Yeah, I received a letter.
Do you recall by whom?
Your mom.
Waukesha County was on the envelope. I don't remember the names on it.
Do you recall how long ago that was?
I do not.
Did you yourself at any time file a claim in this matter?
No.
Why would
Do you know of anyone who has filed a claim in this matter?
No.
Have you ever talked to the plaintiff in this matter?
90611.
Sustained as to the form of the question.
Come on, Judge. 90611.
Have you yourself ever reached out to the plaintiff in this matter?
90611.
Sustained as to the form of the question.
Come on.
Have you ever had any personal interaction with the plaintiff in this matter?
Objection.
Grounds.
Vague, argumentative, irrelevant.
Sustained.
Sustained for those reasons stated by.
Yeah.
Sustained as to the form of the question as well.
Are you sure if there's a plaintiff in this matter?
Objection.
Grounds.
Argumentative, irrelevant.
Sustained for those reasons.
The jury deserves to know.
Were you at any time informed that there's a plaintiff in this matter?
Objection.
Grounds.
90611.
Sustained.
Come on, Judge.
For the reasons stated by the.
Sustained.
For the reasons stated
Yes.
by the state.
Also as to the form of the question.
Just end it, Judge.
Have you at any time seen anywhere or read anywhere that there's a plaintiff in this matter?
Objection,
Come
Your
on.
Honor. Irrelevant.
Grounds.
Sustained also as to the form of the question.
No further questions.
Thank you.
Oh,
Any redirect?
No, Your Honor, I'd ask Mr. Stone be excused.
Thank you, sir. You may step down.
he's
Yes,
so
he's excused.
tedious.
Thank you.
You may call your next witness.
State calls Andrew Amerson.
What was the name again?
Andrew Amerson.
All right, thank you. Good morning, Mr. Amerson. If you would please make your way to my witness stand, which is to my right. Up one side, sir. When you get there, please remain standing, raise your right hand, and my clerk Teresa will swear you in.
Probably. We'd have to look at the subpoena.
solemnly swear
if
that
he
the
received a
testimony you're about to
subpoena.
give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Please have a seat.
That's not Andrew Amerson. That's Santa
The first thing I
Claus.
will ask you to do is to state your first and last name for the record and then spell each.
Andrew Amerson, capital Andrew, capital
Oh!
Amerson.
Go ahead.
he,
Thank you.
he-
Good morning, Mr.
He
Amerson.
did it. He did. He specified
Sir,
caps.
on November 21 of 2021, where did you live?
435 Dunbar.
That's
Is
hilarious.
that here in the city of Waukesha?
Yes,
And is that your home?
yes.
Overruled is foundational. The witness may answer. If there is an objection, sir, I will need to rule on it first before you answer, so just wait until I do that. Thank you.
Once
Okay.
again.
Do you have any security
cameras?
cameras at your home, sir?
Yes, I do.
And did you back then in November of 21?
Objection leading.
Overruled, the witness may answer. It's foundational.
Yes,
To your knowledge, were they in working order on November 21 of 21?
Objection, speculation.
Overruled, the witness
He
may
would
answer.
know if they were
Yes.
working.
Does your security camera have recording capability?
Objection, leading.
Overruled, the witness may answer.
Yes.
And can the recordings be viewed at a later time?
Yes.
At some point close to November 21 of 2021, maybe a day or two later, were you contacted by the Waukesha Police Department?
Objection, leading.
Overruled.
I was contacted on Monday and on Wednesday.
Okay. Why were the officers at your house, sir?
My cameras are evident from the street, so they were curious if they were in working order and if they could look at them.
Did you agree to that?
Absolutely.
And did they specifically obtain recordings related to the date
They
of
are
November
not.
21 of 21?
Objection, leading.
The
Overruled, witness may answer
exclusionary
with
rule
information.
has been invoked,
Yes.
so they haven't seen any prior
Did you ultimately
testimony.
provide a copy of those
And
recordings to the officers?
The witnesses
Yes, on Wednesday.
who are
How did you
on
do that, sir?
who have already testified for the
I gave them
prosecution,
the operating
but are on
system
Brooks's trial list
after
or
acquainting
witness
them
list.
with the,
They're still
monitor,
excluded.
How it all worked.
Okay.
And
But once
They
they're
were
dismissed, then they can watch.
focused on a certain area to the west.
Okay.
And I showed them how to get a good view on that and welcome them to have it if they needed it.
Did they take it?
Yes.
Before you turned it over to them, sir, did you change the content of the recording in any way?
Objection,
No.
leading.
Sorry.
Um,
And speculative.
Overruled as to both objections, the witness
How
may
on
answer.
earth would that be
Nothing was
speculative?
changed.
Okay. I'm going to ask you to look
Well,
at the
it-
screen
it
next to
would
you. I'm
be
going to pull up
direct.
Exhibit 156.
Because he already crossed her and it was a mess. That
This
was
is a 9-second
on
clip.
the first Friday of
Can
trial.
you see that, sir?
The day
I
after
can.
All right, I'm going to
opening.
play that clip for you at
But he's going
regular
to call
speed
her
in its
on
entirety.
direct.
Sir, how many seconds is the clip?
9 seconds, Your Honor.
Can we make sure it's playing at regular speed?
If the prosecution requests it's playing at regular speed.
Did you see that clip, sir?
Yes, I did.
Is that a portion of the recording that you turned over to the Waukesha Police Department?
Yeah, that's the camera that faces west.
Okay. Do you believe that exhibit,
I've
what
got
we just
you.
showed you, that video is a true and accurate representation of the events that evening near your home?
Yes.
And if you look on the screen, sir, do you see a date and time stamp for the video?
Yes.
Objection, leading.
Overruled, the witness may answer.
What was the date and time stamp that the video was recorded, please?
November 21, 2021 at 4:46:41 p.m.
Thank you, sir. I move for admission of 156, Your Honor.
Objection, relevancy.
Overruled, the exhibit 156 is received.
No further questions.
Thank you. You may be questioned by Mr. Brooks. Now, go ahead, sir. Do you have any questions?
Yes, I do. Good morning, Mr. Amerson. Would it be fair to say that you saw the video footage before today?
I saw it on the day of and the days following.
And what, if at anything, do you see on the video?
I see a man crossing the street, coming down from the properties across the street.
And you said a man.
They got the glasses in a Cracker Jack box and they're trick glasses.
Would you
Same with the
say
security
it's fair
camera.
to say that from the video, this is a pretty good distance from where your camera was positioned?
What's a pretty
That
good
video
distance?
image is a good distance. It's about 50 yards.
And you can tell from the video that you just watched today, you can tell the gender of the individual that you saw crossing the street? As
He
you
didn't
say?
testify about the
Well,
gender or
when I
what it
saw
was
it
in the video.
originally, I had Zoom.
He
Okay,
testified about
the feature of the camera.
the time and
zooms.
date of the
So your
video
image was
and where the
real
video was
clear.
taken.
So the image was real clear when
He
you had Zoom. Any reason why this particular image doesn't have that feature?
They can do
Objection.
whatever they want.
Grounds.
Objection.
Hold on, there's an objection.
Sorry.
Let me rule on it.
Beyond the scope of the witness's knowledge, Your Honor.
I'll overrule if you know the answer.
I don't know what decisions
It's
they
because
made
the state
choosing
decided not to play the
to
zoomed
display.
in version.
And was that all you saw in the video, or did you see anything else unusual or something that
He
may have
didn't
caught your eye?
testify about the contents.
That's the only thing that I was focused on.
And do you recall what agency you was contacted by about the video footage?
The detectives that came to my home on Monday identified themselves and then told me that other detectives might show up on Wednesday. And other detectives did show up on Wednesday. I didn't write down their names.
Do you recall what agency they were from?
Police department.
Do you recall if they were Waukesha Police Department or
Probably.
some other jurisdiction?
I'm pretty sure they were Waukesha, but I didn't ask.
Did those detectives ever follow up with you after those initial dates from that Monday, I think you said, into Wednesday?
Never saw her again after Wednesday.
Why would they need
Did you
to?
yourself follow up with law enforcement after those
Why
two
would
visits?
he need to?
No.
He's not conducting an investigation. Why would he need to?
And do you recall when you were subpoenaed to testify in this matter?
He
Late
didn't
July,
say he was
early August.
subpoenaed yet. You skipped a question.
Do you recall by whom?
Waukesha County District Attorney's Office.
Do you recall whose name was on that subpoena?
His?
I would have to take a look at it to recall it.
Mr. Amerson's name was on the subpoena.
And once you received the subpoena, did you call the Waukesha District Attorney's Office to gather any information about the subpoena?
On a few days, getting close to October 3rd, I made a phone call to ask if I was going to be somebody that they needed on October 3rd because I hadn't heard anything from them.
Do you recall who you spoke with at that time?
I believe the person that gave me the information that was helpful to me was Carrie Peterson.
It'd be fair to say at that time you were notified that you possibly were needed to testify.
It was an unknown still at that point,
You still could have pled
Later, I
guilty at
received a
that
text.
point.
saying that I was on call as a witness.
Did you receive that text the same day that you called the district attorney's office or sometime after?
It might have been the same day. It might have been the next day.
Plaintiff time.
Did you yourself at any time file any claims in relation to this matter?
No,
Do you know of anyone who filed any claims in relation to this matter?
I mean,
that's a privacy issue.
this witness
You may answer the question.
has been,
I know
you know,
that
he
my
hasn't seen other
grandchildren
testimony.
Received
Knowing
constant-
what I know, I
and I
would be
think
trolling him
that
on his
a
mispronunciations
Waukesha
and
Community Fund might have helped cover some of that.
Do you recall the name of the fund?
No,
I have not seen Mean Girls.
And to your knowledge, the fund that you speak of was strictly geared towards counseling.
I'm not privy to.
How would
what it
he
was geared
know? He has, this has nothing to do with his evidence. He has, how does this impact his credibility?
So would it be fair to say that there was a financial interest attached to this incident?
Absolutely not.
He testified he's aware of a
There's a
victim's
mental health
fund.
interest.
He's not. I hate him so much. Because he's a moron. He's a moron.
And how's everybody doing now? Are they okay?
How would he
Grounds.
know?
Sustained.
And they're not all okay. 6
For
people
relevance?
are
Yes.
dead. You killed 6 people. They are not okay. Oh.
Have at any time you yourself had any personal interactions with the plaintiff in this matter?
Come on, Judge.
Grounds.
90611.
Sustained is to the form of the question.
Do you know if there's a plaintiff in this matter?
90611.
Sustained.
Grounds for the sustain, Your Honor.
90611.
Not relevant.
Do you recall if the plaintiff in this matter reached out to you in any way?
Objection.
Grounds.
Irrelevant, asked and answered.
Grounds.
Sustained for those reasons. Also as to the form of the question.
And
Just for the record, it
90611.
wasn't asked and answered, just for the record.
Next question, please.
He's getting annoyed.
Do you yourself know if there even is a plaintiff in this matter?
Objection, argumentative.
Sustained. As to the form of the question.
No further questions.
Oh,
Thank you, sir. Any redirect?
No, I'd ask that Mr. Amerson be excused, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. You may step down. You are excused.
okay. Police officers now. Because I think she said
Go ahead.
3
Leonard Miller.
witnesses to bring in video evidence. and then some police officers to bring in evidence, like physical evidence.
Good morning, Mr. Miller. If you would please make your way to the witness stand, which is to my right. It is up
I
one
may be
higher.
wrong, though,
When you get
Mr.
there, please
Miller.
remain standing. Raise your right hand. My clerk, Teresa, who's on my left, will swear you in.
I think I am wrong.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Please have a seat.
Okay.
First thing I will ask you to do is to state your first and last names for the record and then spell each.
Leonard Miller, Leonard, Miller, Miller.
Thank you. Go ahead.
It's possible,
Morning, sir.
but
Good morning.
he
Mr.
doesn't
Miller,
look
on-
like it.
November 21 of 2021, where did you reside?
Overruled, the witness may answer.
126 Central Avenue,
That's here in the city of Waukesha?
Waukesha, yes.
Okay. Do you have any home security systems in place at your residence?
Objection, speculative.
Overruled, the witness may answer.
I mean, even
Yes,
the
I
judge
have,
is
two
laughing
doorbell
at how
cameras and,
ridiculous it is.
Speculative.
Speculative.
Light cam.
Central Avenue is
Are you
the
able to record the
right
events that are
angle-shaped
captured on the security
mid-block
camera?
street
Yes,
we heard
And
about.
can those recordings
couple
be
days
shared with
ago.
others?
yes.
At some point, shortly after November 21 of 2021, were you contacted by the Waukesha Police Department?
It was actually that evening.
Okay. Tell us about it, please.
Well, actually, after everything transpired, I just got done setting up my Christmas lights. And I was in the house, and my wife came down from taking a shower. I said, "Let's go look at the lights." We stepped
Exactly.
outside. Well, we started.
That's
to
why
step
the
out
judge
front
was
door.
laughing.
There was actually a SWAT team in our front yard.
Okay.
So I said, "We're not going to look at the lights now." So then, after a little bit, I started looking through my cameras, and I noticed somebody running up my driveway on the one camera.
Ooh, so
Did
that's
you
a
recognize
close
the
up.
person?
I did not.
Okay.
That'll be a close up.
Right.
Hold on, there's been an objection. It's overruled.
Ruled his answer may stand. If there are further objections, please wait until I rule on them
Sure,
before you
sorry.
answer. That's okay. Thank you.
I mean, he was answering.
Okay, so you saw somebody on
Before
the
the
recording that you did not recognize.
Correct.
Objection, leave.
What,
Hold on. Overruled.
Action, answer.
No, it wasn't asked.
Foundational, I'll allow it, but please move on.
Just ask the answer.
It wasn't asked. He said he
What
saw
did it?
someone. She asked,
what did
you
do
saw
when
someone
saw
you
this?
didn't recognize.
I called the Waukesha Police Department. And,
Their words
a
he's
short while
heard
later, a
on
couple
TV
officers
or
came
heard
over
from the prosecutor.
and walked through my property into the garage
He doesn't
and made sure nobody was there.
comprehend
Then about an
anything.
hour or so later, I
Or
believe it was the
understand.
detective called me and asked if I could send them the copy of the video.
Did you do that?
I did.
Prior to doing that, did you alter the content of the video in any fashion, sir?
No,
Speculative.
Overruled, the witness may answer. Go ahead.
I did not. I have
Almost
no
none
way
of them are made in good
I wouldn't know
faith.
how to.
That's for
Okay.
sure.
How did you send it to the police
It is
officers?
delay, obstruct,
via email.
piss off.
Okay. I'm gonna put up on your screen next to you, Exhibit 159, please.
He sent it in by
This is
email.
a 20-second clip.
It's not
And I'm going
admissible
to,
if it was sent by
play it
Yahoo
for you at
Mail.
regular speed, and then I'll ask you a question, okay?
Sure.
Said 159.
Exhibit 159 is what I wrote down. And yes. Go ahead.
Mr. Miller, is that the recording you provided to the Waukesha Police
I
Department?
guess Yahoo Mail is better
Yes.
than
Do you
AOL.
believe this is a true and accurate
email.
depiction of the events at your home on November 21 of 2021?
Objection, relevancy.
Overruled. You may answer.
Yes.
In the upper right-hand corner of the recording, I noticed there's a date and time stamp.
I mean, he obviously doesn't
Yes.
know what they
I
are.
believe that was,
Otherwise, he'd
accurate
stop
reflection.
saying relevancy.
The witness's answer may stand. Go ahead, next question.
Do you believe the date and time stamp on the recording are accurate, sir?
Yes.
And what, if you could read, please, the date and time stamp on Exhibit 159.
November 21st, 2021, 04:48:16 p.m.
Move to omit Exhibit 159, Your Honor.
Objection, relevancy.
Overruled. Exhibit 159 is received.
I don't have any other questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Any cross, sir?
Yes, briefly.
Go ahead when you're ready.
Okay. Good morning, Mr. Miller.
Good morning.
Before today, it would be fair to assume that you saw that footage.
He
before
watched
today.
it live.
Yes.
He watched it live.
And you stated a little bit earlier that when stepping out to
He doesn't know what briefly
view
means
the
either.
Christmas lights, you noticed a SWAT team in your yard.
Correct.
What do you mean by SWAT team?
Fully armed, rifles in hand, helmets on,
Tactical police
Officers.
officers.
in my front yard. And on the street of my front yard. I should clarify that, in the street of my front yard.
Did you notice any vehicle that they may have been in at that time?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that question, please?
Did you notice at the time that you observed the SWAT team in your yard, did you notice any vehicle that they may have been in at that time?
I did observe a squad car down the street. Whether it was theirs or not.
The
I
relevancy of his
say for
video
sure.
clearly depends on whether there was a SWAT vehicle present.
And do you recall what police agency you turned the video footage over to?
Yeah, it was the Waukesha Police Department.
Do you remember the name
It's
of
hilarious.
the officer that you turned the video footage over to?
I am sorry, I do not.
I mentioned it earlier.
Do you recall filing a report at that time?
No report was made.
So it'd be fair to say the extent of your interaction with law enforcement was strictly about the video footage.
Yeah.
Correct.
Do you recall if law enforcement followed up with you about the footage?
Blue Bacon's good.
I
He's
don't believe
a
so.
former
Did you
military
yourself follow
police,
up with law enforcement about the video footage?
now a
did
private
not.
investigator. He makes fun of sovereign citizens and auditors and others. If you followed the Jeremy DeWitt saga, he was big on that. But he's got a coffee cup. It says, "Objection, grounds. When soft sits sip, it sustains."
And do you recall when you were subpoenaed to testify in this matter?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the first part of your question.
I'm sorry. I have a bit of a cold, so
Sure.
Do you recall when you were subpoenaed?
I definitely find
testify in
Blue
this matter?
Bacon amusing.
I can't remember the exact date, but it was a few weeks ago.
And when you
I mean,
received the subpoena,
we do know
did you
that
follow up with
Grandma
the district attorney's
got
office?
run over
I'm
by a reindeer.
Assuming
Maybe the parade did
that that's
too.
who served the subpoena.
I did.
Do you recall whom you spoke with?
he's come up
I
a
do
bit
not
because
recall the
he
name,
was
I'm
supposedly
sorry.
out of jail or out of prison earlier this month, but Blue Bacon's in Seattle. He's been teasing us that he's going to do like on-site ghost hunting
Did you
at
yourself
the
file any
Green
claims
River
in relation to
uh,
this matter?
serial
I
killers
have not
Do you know of
kill
anyone who filed a
sites.
claim in relations to this matter?
personally, no.
I think most people it's Jeremy Dimwit.
To the best
Susie.
of your recollection, do you recall being contacted by the plaintiff in this matter?
90611.
Other than regards to the summons, no.
And you made reference to the summons.
Or subpoena, rather.
What
The way he rides
was
his
the plaintiff's name on the
motorcycle
subpoena?
that he's been ordered to sell.
I believe
It
so.
could be
Do you recall what that name
soon.
was?
State of Wisconsin.
Oh yeah, and that'll be in Florida. It'll be bad. Of course, he's a convicted
Have you ever had
felon.
any interactions with the state of Wisconsin?
Objection.
Grounds.
Irrelevant, vague, argumentative.
Grounds.
Sustained.
For those reasons, Your Honor, or
Sustained. Yes.
being that you identified the state of Wisconsin as the plaintiff, have they ever reached out to you in any way?
90611.
Sustained is to the form of the question.
Have you ever had any personal interaction with the state of Wisconsin?
Objection. Vague,
Grounds.
irrelevant, argumentative.
Grounds.
Sustained.
For those reasons stated by.
Yes.
I'm not a fan. He likes press a little too much.
Would you yourself classify the plaintiff that you identified, state of Wisconsin? Would you classify them as a living human being?
90611
Grounds.
Vague, irrelevant, argumentative.
Sustained for those reasons.
misstates the law.
Would it be fair to say that a state cannot be a human being?
Misstates the law. Irrelevant.
It could be argued
90611.
philosophically, I guess, yes.
90611.
I don't know. No.
No.
Personally, no. But philosophically, I suppose you could argue that the state is a person.
The state, one
That
state,
would be hilarious.
I suppose it could be argued.
and with determination, how did you come to that determination?
I have not.
Objection. He said he didn't. No, Your Honor, that's a misstatement of his testimony.
Sustained is to the form of the question. It's also not relevant.
Do you see the state of Wisconsin present in the courtroom today?
90611,
Grounds.
Judge.
Sustained. Not relevant.
What was the last part, Your Honor?
Not relevant.
Have you ever seen the state of Wisconsin at any time?
Objection.
Grounds.
Argumentative.
Grounds.
Irrelevant.
Sustained for those reasons.
What reasons I didn't hear?
For those reasons,
Then
it was also
listen.
asked previously, and I sustained the objection.
That question
It's
wasn't actually
for the exact
for the record.
same grounds it was sustained. Oh.
So to the best of your knowledge, is the state of Wisconsin an injured party in this matter?
Your Honor, I object. and
Grounds.
ask you to direct the
90611.
defendant to move on.
Grounds.
The
I think
objection
the
is
judge has to
sustained
do that, not
pursuant.
the DA.
The objection is sustained. Next question, please.
I'm sorry.
She
I
can
didn't hear the reason
ask
for
the
this.
judge to instruct you to move
It's not
on.
relevant.
The DA
Your Honor, I
can
object
instruct
to
you
not
to
being
move on,
relevant.
but she can ask the
Clearly
judge
stated.
to.
Mr. Brooks,
plaintiff.
please move on. I've made my ruling.
Stop arguing, you
I don't know
nincompoop.
how that's not relevant. Seems to me that
Stop
there's no plaintiff.
arguing. He's getting so mad.
I remind the jury to disregard comments made by the parties. They are not evidence.
There's no plaintiff.
Shut up.
No further questions.
Thank you, sir. Any redirect?
No, I'd ask that Mr. Miller be excused, please.
Sir, thank you. You may step down and you are excused.
Thank you.
He's a ridiculous clown.
How can an entity be a plaintiff?
Shut up. Can Apple not sue Microsoft? Their
Take a short
entities.
mid-morning break for about 15 minutes. I'll rise for the jury, please.
God. All right. I'll be right back and then fast forward. So behave while I'm gone.
All right, it's 10:32. Be back in 15 minutes. We are in recess. Thank you.
All right, I'm back. Let's fast forward. If my computer wants to. All right.
Morning break appearances are as they were before. State have
How's he
another
gonna
witness
cause
to call this
trouble
morning?
now?
Yes.
All right, then let's have the jury brought out.
He's gonna start arguing as soon as the jury starts walking through the door. No subject matter jurisdiction.
Your objection to that is noted. I'm declining to revisit that issue, sir.
Is that a judicial determination?
It is.
Everything she does is judicial. She's a judge. That's what judges do. Exactly. It's a criminal court in the state of Wisconsin. He's charged with a criminal act in the state of Wisconsin. Unless he's a diplomat and has diplomatic immunity, there's jurisdiction.
All right, for the jury.
Once I'm done today, I need to watch Juan Galt's new video. Apparently, he's got a new soft sit fake guru. If you haven't subscribed, go watch Juan Galt. He's a lawyer. He's great. The only idea I'm giving him is watch Juan Galt. Juan will set him straight.
Thank you, everyone. Please be seated. Statement calls next witness, please.
Thank you.
Juan's
State
way
House
smarter than
Specialist
me.
Kyle Becker.
Good morning, sir. If you would please make your way to the witness stand. When you get there, please remain standing. Raise your right hand. My clerk, Teresa, will swear you in.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Please have a seat. First thing I will ask you to do is to state your first and last names for the record and then spell each.
Kyle Becker, Kyle.
And this is a police officer now, isn't it?
Thank you. Go ahead, your witness.
Sir, how are you employed?
City Waukesha Police Department.
Okay, yeah.
What's your job type?
Warrant specialist.
And directing your attention to the date of November 23,
He's a what specialist?
2021 would run to be that date.
Yes, I was.
What
Does he say
duties were you
warrant?
tasked with on that date?
Me and several other officers, detectives were tasked with being part of the search team canvassing the area.
Okay.
Okay, and this is related to the investigation into the Christmas parade?
Objection, leading.
Yes.
Okay.
The objection's noted. It's overruled. These are foundational type questions, so I'll allow it. For the witness, though, please make sure you wait until I rule on objections before.
Come on, you've testified
Answer.
before.
Thank you.
You
Next question.
should know. Of course,
So you said
he was already
the purpose of the
answering.
team was to look for items, did you say?
Objection, leading.
Overruled.
Yes, items.
Exactly.
We believe Mr.
The smarter you are, the easier you can make complex things sound.
Okay. And did you come up with a plan or a method to proceed?
Yes, we did. So we knew that he fled from the vehicle at 338 Maple Avenue in the city of Waukesha. So we directed our team around that area, and we were going to start on the 300 block of Maple. We were going to work westbound in the backyards until we got to like Northwest Avenue, trying to look for items that might have been discarded by Darrell Brooks.
And what day was this that you set out to do this?
November 23rd, 2021.
Wait.
Objection or not?
Yes.
He said leading.
Overruled, the witness may
What date was it? Is
It was,
not leading.
November 23rd, 2021.
What time of day were you performing this search?
It's approximately about 10:15.
Did you see that side eye he gave Brooks, waiting,
Did you
daring him to
personally recover
object?
any items of interest in this case, sir?
Yes, I did.
Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, the first item that we located was a blue sandal, or they also
Ooh.
call it a slide, that was located
Was it
at
Packers?
322 Maple Avenue in the backyard. 322 butts up to 434 Dunbar.
I'm guessing he lost the
And in
slides so he
backyard,
could
there
run
is a
faster.
chain link fence that separates the 2 yards. The first
Or it
sandal
could have
that
come
we
off
located
hopping the fence.
was a right-footed sandal, and it was on the maple side, 322 maple side of the fence.
Did the toe fungus
close-
on the
close by the
sandal
chain link fence.
match
All right,
Brooks's
we're
toe
gonna, put up
fungus?
2 items, photographs. First one would be exhibit 94.
Go ahead.
Is that on your screen, sir?
Yes, it is.
Do you do you recognize what is depicted in exhibit 94?
Objection leading.
Overruled. You may answer.
Yes, I do.
Tell the jury what you see in 94.
It is the blue sandal that was outside the fenced chain link fence area, like I described. It is a navy blue in color, and it also had a Milwaukee Brewers logo. elbow in
Brewers?
front of the
We were
sandal,
told it was
which appeared
Packers.
to be like torn or worn.
Brooks said he had Packers
Do you believe
flip
exhibit
flops.
94 is
These
a
are
true and
Brewers
accurate depiction
slides?
of the area where the sandal was found
More lies. More
Yes, I do.
lies.
and the exact location where the sandal was found.
Objection leading.
Overruled. You may answer.
Yes, I do.
Permission to publish 94, Your Honor? Well, wait, before we do that, I'm going to have you identify 95 as well, and then we'll put them up.
Go ahead with the next exhibit.
Is 95 now on your screen, sir?
Yes, it is.
What is shown in 95?
The navy blue sandal that I just described.
Similar, or how is 95 different from 94?
Objection leading.
Overruled. You may answer.
I already
They were
win
the
at
same
that
exact
game.
sandal, just different pictures.
That's what I mean. What's the difference between the photographs?
Objection leading.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
Just the angle of where the picture was taken.
Okay. Do you believe that 95 is an accurate representation of where and how the sandal was found?
Yes, I do.
Objection, speculative.
Move to admit 94 and 95 and permission to publish, Your Honor.
Objection. Relevancy.
The objection is noted.
Those are
Overruled.
generally
Exhibits
by accident,
94
though,
and
Steve, so they don't
95
count.
Received permission to publish granted. And then for my ladies and gentlemen in the jury, let me know when it shows up on the screens in the jury box, as there is a delay at times. All right, we're good. Go ahead.
Sir, if you could
Remember,
just
this is a couple
orient us
days
in
later
the,
when they
picture
find the
there.
sandals.
You had described in your testimony a chain link fence, correct?
Correct.
Does that separate 2 properties?
Probably.
Objection leading.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
Yes, it does separate 2 properties.
And what are those properties, please?
Objection.
Or it
relevancy.
could be the
Overruled, the
mental
witness may answer.
midget version of the
Where the
Bible.
sandal is located right now, that is on the address of 322 Maple Avenue, and the opposite side of the fence, which would be
Have
to
them
the
circle,
south of that,
use the
would be
touch screen.
434 Dunbar.
Okay. So even though the properties abut, the street addresses are on different streets.
Yes, that is correct.
And 322 Maple, can you approximate for us the distance that is to the location where the red SUV
I
was
object
found?
to them
Objection
objecting.
speculative.
Overruled. The witness may answer. Actually, let me do this. I'm going to sustain it as to foundation. I think another question needs to be asked of this witness regarding the red
See,
SUV.
It was sustained, but by accident.
Sir, I think you testified earlier that you set out to search the area around 338 Maple, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
And what was the significance of that address, please?
That was where the vehicle was located that Darrell Brooks was driving the night of their Christmas parade.
Objection.
And
I don't consent to
please
use of that
approximate for
name.
us the distance between the residence where the vehicle was found and the residence where this sandal was found.
Exactly.
Objection, relevancy.
He'd
Overruled,
be
the
awfully
witness may
confused
answer.
if I had the shock
If
cuff.
this is an
So
approximate guess, I would
since I'm a
guess around
half
200
hour
yards.
behind, so
Um,
I'm
the device
zapping
in front of you
him
was a
based on what
touchscreen.
I
Can you
see.
please circle the
half hour
sandal in the
later.
photograph?
So that would be kind of funny, actually.
And then if we could please display 95.
Before you do that,
I'm sorry.
any capture of this being requested before?
No, because I think 95 will do that for us, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Then go ahead, next exhibit.
All right, now 95 is up, sir.
Same thing, circle.
Sure.
Hey, look at that blue slide
Yes.
right next to the
Yes.
fence.
Overruled, the witness may answer by circling.
I'd now like to show you a piece of physical evidence that's been marked as State's Exhibit 86.
Uh-oh,
The assistance
plug
of
your
the
nose.
deputy, please.
The slide's in the courtroom.
Could you please present that to the witness for me?
Is that, you said 86?
I was going to ask the same thing because I missed that too. Can I have the number again?
Yes, 86, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Exhibit 86.
And can the witness throw the shoe at the defendant?
Not yet.
Sir, have you seen Exhibit 86 before?
Yes.
What is 86?
86 is the sandal that I located outside of 322 Maple Avenue.
One we were just seeing in the photographs 94 and 95?
Yes.
Okay.
Is that with a sock
Move
or
to admit
without?
86, Your Honor.
Objection, relevancy.
Overruled, exhibit 86 is received.
Officer Becker, did you find any other items of significance to this investigation?
Objection, leading.
Overruled, the witness may answer.
That
Yes, I
could
did.
What
work.
else did you find?
I found another blue sandal.
Oh, wow,
which was
two
a
of them.
Left-footed blue slide sandal. with
So
the
he
same
wasn't hopping along
Lewis
like I
logo
do
on it that was
sometimes.
worn out. And then I also located a gray hooded sweatshirt that had a
Of course,
multicolored design or logo on the front.
I wouldn't
the
wear
sweatshirt.
slides
That
because
Was
without
the same sweatshirt
toes
that
to
we believe
grip, they'd
is
just
supposed to
fall
run
off
during
one
this
of my feet.
at the Waukesha parade.
Where did you find these items?
These items were located to that chain link fence that was up before earlier. It was on the opposite side south of that chain link fence, which would have been the address of 434 Dunbar Avenue. I was directed towards that area because due to the fact that I
And then have
Thought
glasses with the
Mr.
eyes
Brooks tried
painted
jumping the
open so
fence,
she can sleep.
and that's how he lost the first sandal. So I was directed towards that area due to the fact in that vicinity there. So I was searching in the backyard of that area, and I located a children's playhouse. This children's playhouse was made of wood, and it had about 4 or 5 steps up till you got to the platform of the children's playhouse. There also was a slide connected to it that would lead down to the grass. I located
So many jokes
in
to
that
make
platform
about
area,
children's
located
playhouse
the
and
gray
the
hooded
child
sweatshirt that had a
defendant.
multicolored design. It's the same sweatshirt that we believe Mr. Brooks
Oh,
was
wow,
wearing
hey.
in that parade incident. And then
They found the
in
sweatshirt,
close proximity
in
to that
the
sweatshirt
path of his
was
flight.
the other sandal, which was the left-footed sandal, which was a blue slide with the Milwaukee Brewers logo.
And once
Logo
again,
that
I'm
was
sure he ditched
somewhat
the
similar.
sweatshirt to
That's
try to
description
avoid
of the one that We
identification.
also found by 322 Maple.
All right, sir, I'm going to display on your monitor Exhibit 96.
Of course, it just made him suspicious
Go ahead.
by being in a
See
t-shirt in the
Exhibit
cold.
96?
Not yet.
Okay.
There we go.
All right, do you recognize what is portrayed in Exhibit 96?
Yes.
What is that?
Objection, leading.
Overruled, the witness may answer.
That is the children's playhouse where I found the gray hooded sweatshirt and the left-footed blue sandal.
So did he
Alright.
stash it in the playhouse?
Do you believe
So that
the
it was out of
photograph is
sight?
a true and accurate depiction of the yard and item that you described for us when you saw it that afternoon?
Objection, speculative.
Overruled, the witness may answer.
Yes, it was.
All right, we're gonna go on to 97. What do we see in 97, sir?
That is the gray hooded sweatshirt with the multicolored design or logo that I located.
In the Playhouse.
Correct, in the playoffs.
Okay. Do you believe this is a true and accurate depiction as you observed the events on November 23 of 21?
Objection, speculative.
Overruled, the witness
His
may answer.
observations are not
Yes, it is.
All
speculative.
right, and then 98, please.
Learn the English language.
Please describe.
This picture is obviously the gray hooded sweatshirt that I just talked about, and then also the other left-footed blue sandal with the Milwaukee Brewers logo elbow that was worn.
Once
Is
again,
this the position of these items
Brooks
as you
tested-
found them,
well,
sir?
in his
Yes, it was.
interrogation,
And do you
Brooks
believe
said
this,
it was
photograph
Packers
is true and accurate as
flip-flops.
it's presented here today?
Objection, leading.
Overruled, the witness may answer.
Yes.
Move to admit 96, 97, and 98, and permission to publish, Your Honor.
Exhibits 96, 97, and 98 are all received, and permission to publish is granted as to each. And if the jury would please let me know when the monitors and the jury box also display what's on the large screen.
That's a backyard.
All right. Thank you. Go ahead.
All right, Officer Becker, could you please circle for the jury the children's playhouse that you've been describing for us in 96?
Yes.
Kind of hard to see from that angle. It's
Thank
in
you.
the
I'm
shadow.
not requesting permission to capture that, Your Honor. I'd like to move on to 97. Oops, there's 97. Okay. And where's the, this is a close-up of that same playhouse?
Yes.
Do you see the sweatshirt in this image, sir?
Objection, leading.
Overruled, you may answer.
Yes, I do.
Please circle it.
So he chucked it right up to the top of the
Are you able to
slide.
see the sandal in this photograph?
No, I'm not.
Okay. And then we'll move on to 98, please. And those are the two
All
items
right,
together.
now
in
you
the
can see the
top portion of
sandal
the playhouse, is that
further
right?
back into the
Yes, that is.
All right.
playhouse,
Now I'm going to show you these physical items.
a
Please
foot or
look
two
into
from
them
the
succinctly.
sweatshirt, from the hoodie.
Number 84.
Sorry.
Do you recognize item number 84, sir?
Yes.
What is that?
Objection, leading.
Overruled, I'm sorry, what was the number?
What is
84.
it?
Alright.
Isn't
Witness may
leading.
answer, sir.
Come on.
This was the gray hooded sweatshirt that I located in the children's playhouse.
All right. And 85. Thank you. Please identify.
This is the other sandal, which was a left-footed blue sandal slide with the Milwaukee Brewers logo that was also located in the children's playhouse.
Your Honor, permission to admit, or excuse me, move to admit 84 and 85.
Objection, relevancy.
It's what you were wearing
Exhibits 84 and
when you
85 are
murdered
received.
people.
And I'd like
It's
to
relevant.
ask, with the court's permission, if 84 can be published by the officer standing up and holding up 84 for the jury to view.
Objection, relevancy.
Permission granted.
So please hold up the sweatshirt, sir.
Objection noted.
Yes.
And it was overruled. Hey, look, it's a light gray hoodie.
Officer stood up in the jury box. He is holding the
his waist and forehead. That's the full length of a sweatshirt, and he has passed it from right to left.
It's in a vacuum sealed,
And then if you would do the same thing,
evidence
please, sir, you
bag.
could set that one down, and if you could hold
so
up
you can see the
84 and
full
85, one in
outline that
each
it's a
hand,
hoodie.
and, display those for the jury, if that's okay, Your Honor?
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, 85 and 86.
Objection.
Your objection's noted. Go ahead. The witness is standing up still in the witness box. He is holding each one of those exhibits, which I believe is 85 and 86.
Well, I
One
definitely
each
can't
hand
share with
at
him.
Shoulder height, and
Yeah.
he turned a bit from right to left in front of the jury. Thank you, sir. You may sit, or you may sit down.
Special
Zappos,
Inspector, did you check
the
with the homeowner
online
to
shoe
make sure
store,
that the property
actually
you just
does
displayed
sell
did not
single
belong
shoes
to the
now.
homeowner?
Objection.
I don't know if they ship
I'll
to
rule the witness
Australia, but tell them to check
I
out
personally did not.
Zappos.
Somebody
Z
else may
Z or Z
And how about the
APPOS.
sandal by the cyclone fence on the ground?
And Nike
Did
will
officers
also
check
give
the homeowner at that
one
residence as
single
well?
shoe
Objection.
If you know.
Speculative.
per
I'll
time
rule the
period.
witness may answer.
I do not know if I didn't personally.
Thank you, sir. I don't have any other questions.
I've been taking off my leg to stream because it
Can we
hurts
cross
to
this
sit
minute?
here
Yes,
that
just
long
a second.
with it, but I use
You want the
two
edit
shoes,
still
so I've
by
never
the
taken advantage
witness, or
of
can we
either of
take it
these.
back to this,
If I got a
uh,
running leg, I'd get a
clerk's
single
room?
running shoe.
Oh, you take it back to the clerk.
All right, the bailiff would bring them to the clerk, please. And then when you're ready.
Some amputees, though, do wear slides or even flip flops. There are feet with toes cut. I don't have one, but they'll either put tape on the heel or Velcro or something. Because you know they don't feel the tape, so.
You testified earlier in questioning. Well, rather, let me back up.
No, I won't let you back up.
You said the name of the alleged suspect when questioned about the alleged suspect fleeing from the vehicle. At that time, did you know the name of the alleged suspect?
By the 23rd, yes, he did.
Yes, we did.
And how did you obtain that information?
Because you were already arrested.
From detectives working the case.
So you yourself didn't know until you were told. Would that be fair to say?
I was part of the brief, so I knew too.
So you knew before you were briefed?
Yes.
So you knew before you were briefed, then why did you have to be briefed about that information?
Just the gatherings, we briefed every morning, and the gatherings from the day before, what we were all going to do and stuff like that, and what every detective was working something different. So that's we just kind of gathered as a group like we do every morning and discuss what we all were gathered, or what we all saw. And
were you a part of the investigation the night of the incident?
Yes, I was.
And what was your detail? What was your role in the investigation the night of the incident?
Wasn't shoe
Well, I was
patrol
activated
yet.
for our SWAT team. I'm part of our Waukesha Police Department SWAT team. So we were activated at that time. So I was assisting in that matter.
So he might have been right
at the time
outside
being,
the previous
about
witness's
this-
house
the
who
incident
testified about a
to
SWAT
the
team
fact
being
of
there.
all the injuries and victims.
So
and
he can
unknown
tell us about the
suspects.
Christmas
At the
lights.
time, we got activated for our SWAT team.
And you said unknown suspects. What do you mean?
At that time,
At the time of the incident,
it
we
was an
didn't know
unknown
exactly
suspect.
who the suspects were. If there was one or two at the time. So
It's almost
this
like
was all really fresh information that we received that night.
you get
So
more information as you
we got
investigate.
activated right away.
So is it possible that you didn't receive information of the alleged defendant until that evening?
I do not recall when exactly we found out who our main suspect
He
was.
testified he knew who you were on the 23rd. He didn't say he knew who you were right after you murdered 6 people. He knew 2 days later.
And in reference to the sweatshirt that you observed in the children's playpen, do you have any information on how that got there?
Magic.
Not exactly, no, because I didn't follow the footsteps of Darrell Brooks at night.
Ooh. Good job getting the name in there again. You know he's seething from it.
And seeing as how that you were actively investigating that portion of the investigation, why did you not ask the homeowners if the items belong to them?
You're assuming facts, not in evidence.
I did not ask them. I located it, and then it was turned over to more of the detectives that were handling the case.
The question was why didn't you ask the homeowners?
I don't know. I just didn't.
He didn't say he didn't.
So it'd be
until
fair to say you didn't know who the items
you put
belonged to
that
at
in.
that point.
Fair enough. Yeah.
But they just mysteriously found the items they were looking for.
You made reference to, and the word you used was belief. You made reference to belief that the alleged suspect jumped the fence.
You're not an alleged suspect. You are a suspect.
I guess that would refer to where the slide, as you referred it to, was found. How did you come to the determination that a fence was jumped?
During my training experience, my main job role as a warrant specialist, I go out and track a lot of suspects down. And a lot of times those suspects also flee on me. Where I have to get in a foot pursuit with them. There's been multiple times where suspects jump over fences to try to get away from police. So that's why I came to that conclusion just during my training and experience.
Did you chase any suspects during your investigation?
No, I did not.
So it would be fair to say that you don't know for sure if any suspect jumped the fence.
That is fair enough, but just during my training experience, that's what I believe may have happened.
So it'd be fair
You're
to say
jumping the fence or not is
I
irrelevant.
guess you could say I wasn't.
It's
100%
inconsequential. You ran through backyards to escape. It makes sense that to get from one backyard to the next, you jumped the fence.
Testified earlier, and I don't want to misquote you. I think it was some question of determining the distance. I don't know if that was in reference to where the vehicle was found and where the items that you found were located. Was that the distance that was being referred to?
Yes, I believe so.
Thanks for that clarification. I didn't want to misquote you. How were you exactly able to determine the exact distance of that?
I wasn't able to. I think I may have stated it's a rough estimate or approximate.
So it'd be fair to say you don't know for sure the distance.
He just said.
No, I do not know for sure the exact distance.
But once again, how does knowing or not knowing the exact
Did
distance
you at any time see anyone
of any consequence?
I guess I will refer
The
to
question
as
is
suspects. Did you at any
not
time
how
see any of
far
those
was the
suspects
sweatshirt
drop any
from the
items?
car. It's was it on the path
No, I didn't.
from the car to where he was arrested?
Did you see any
And
of
yes,
those
it was.
suspects remove any items?
No, I did not.
It's almost like he's conducting his investigation after the fact. He's not an eyewitness. He's an investigative witness.
And you stated that your search investigation was the next morning.
2 days, the
It
23rd.
was November 23rd, 2021.
And do you recall when that part of your investigation ended?
I would have to it'd be an approximate guess. I don't know how long we were out there exactly. It was that morning and then probably early afternoon, I'm guessing.
And was that the extent of your part in the investigation? After you completed the investigation part on the 23rd of November, 2021?
Yes, that is correct.
At any time after that, did you follow up with your part of the investigation where it was positioned in the investigation in full?
No, everything was turned over that day that I found the items to our forensics unit at the Waukesha Police Department, where they handled the custody of the evidence.
Were you ever after that date followed up with by any law enforcement after that initial date?
I don't really understand what you're saying.
After your part of the investigation was completed on that day, the 23rd of November, 2021, did any law enforcement officers follow up with you about your part of the investigation?
Not that I recall.
Plaintiff time.
And you said you turned the items over to a crime lab, or
No, it was a criminal evidence and forensics unit of the Waukesha Police Department, specifically Specialist Schmidt.
and from that point, do you know what happened to the items?
No, I do not.
Do you know of any procedure once you turn over the items? And well, I believe you said can you say it again? I'm sorry.
Criminal
Evidence.
Yeah, criminal evidence forensics
Criminal
unit.
evidence. Is there any procedure after that in reference to the items? Like what may be done to the items?
Yeah, they would place them into inventory at the Waukesha Police Department. So that's Specialist Schmidt's primary
They're
job
placed
role
into
with,
evidence.
Waukesha Police Department.
So once you turn over the items, that's pretty much the end of your part of it.
Yes.
He wouldn't analyze them. I mean, chain of custody is important, but once he puts them into evidence, he wouldn't have any more reason to look at them.
Would it be fair to say that these items have been kept for quite a while now?
11
Would that be
months.
fair to say?
Yes.
Are items usually kept for this length of time in investigations?
They're kept through trial at the very least.
Yes. Typically, yes, till the case is over.
So it isn't unusual in any way to see items kept roughly a year or so.
No,
No, that's not unusual.
they can be kept much
Especially if
longer than
it's a
that.
crime.
It'll probably even be kept much longer until your appeal is done. It's not like it's a sandwich
And
that's
what usually
spoiled.
happens to the items after the investigation is complete?
You would have to ask the criminal investigations division, especially Schmidt, that handles those types of cases. I don't know how they release those items.
So you're not sure, to your best of your knowledge, you're not sure.
He's not an evidence technician. He's not a custody sergeant or whatever. Or custodian, he's not an inventory. Claim.
Do you recall making a report in this
Oh,
matter?
report, not a claim.
Yes, I do.
I'm getting ahead of myself.
And did you write it yourself, or was it typed by someone else? Or?
No, I believe I wrote my own report.
And you stated that this would be called a canvas search team.
Yes, that's correct.
And you stated or made reference to it being like a SWAT team.
He was on the SWAT team
No, I recall that you asked
night.
what I did.
The
prior day
canvas
of the
search
Parade
team
incident,
was 2 days later. Those are
advised you that I
two
was
separate
activated for our SWAT
things.
team that day of the parade incident, the actual day. The items that I located on the canvas search team was on November 23rd.
So, in reference to the SWAT team statement, what do you mean by SWAT team?
Our tactical unit at the Waukesha Police Department.
And what do you mean by canvas search team? Can you explain what exactly is a canvas search team?
They were searching
That is
for
a
a
group of individuals
certain
that
type
we had
of cloth.
in our criminal investigations divisions. It was a detective specialist. There might have been some officers too. Gathered as a group. I think there was about 10 of us, and we searched the area to try looking for items.
And do you wear regular law enforcement gear, or is there any change in the gear?
Yeah, regular law enforcement gear. So that I wear day to day, every day.
To the best of your knowledge, did you yourself file any claims in this matter?
No, I did not.
You know of anyone who filed any claims in this matter?
No.
Have you at any time saw or read a complaint in this matter?
No.
He's not a lawyer.
And
Why would
do you
he?
recall who you were subpoenaed by to testify in this matter?
Your mom.
Yes, state of Wisconsin.
And who do you refer to when you say state of Wisconsin?
District Attorney's Office, Waukesha County District Attorney's Office.
Do you recall whose name was on the subpoena?
Your
I do
mom.
not recall. I'd have to look at the paperwork.
So to the best of your knowledge, would the state of Wisconsin be the plaintiff in this matter?
90611.
Yes.
And do you see the state of Wisconsin plaintiff in court today?
Objection.
Grounds.
Proper vague question.
Sustained as to the form of the question.
Probably.
Is the plaintiff present in court today, to your knowledge?
Objection.
He'll walk out in the slides when he's
Inaccurate statement, Your Honor.
Sustained.
freed.
Both reasons.
Nine oh six 11,
Do
Judge.
you
Come
recall
on.
having any
Come on.
personal interactions with the plaintiff in this matter?
Come on.
Objection vague.
Grounds.
Sustained as to the form of the question.
Have you ever been contacted by the plaintiff in this matter?
Same objection.
Grounds.
Sustained as to the form of the question.
The jury deserves to know.
If you were to see the plaintiff, state of Wisconsin, will you be able to identify him?
Hey, that one's
Objection
even
argumentative.
speculative.
Sustained as to the form of the question.
Would you classify the plaintiff, state of Wisconsin, as a human being or entity?
Objection irrelevant.
Sustained, not relevant.
The jury deserves to know, Your Honor. You can't keep this from the jury. Treason not to tell the
Would it be
jury.
fair to say this isn't your first time during your career testifying in any type of criminal matter?
Yes.
Yes, as in,
I've testified before.
Probably. He's testified lots of times.
so it would be fair to assume that you understand plaintiffs and defendants, correct?
Objection
Argumentative.
irrelevant.
Irrelevant.
Sustained, not relevant.
Are you aware that only a living human being can
Misstates the law. Irrelevant.
Objection irrelevant,
Argumentative.
Grounds.
Sustained
90611.
And as to the form of the question.
To the best of your knowledge, who can bring a claim against an alleged defendant?
Objection irrelevant.
Calls for a legal
Sustained, not
conclusion. Irrelevant. Argumentative. 90611. He's getting desperate.
No further questions.
Thank you,
Oh.
sir. Any redirect?
No redirect of this officer, Your Honor.
I thank you, sir. You may step down.
Yeah. Shut up.
I could start with another officer, but I don't think I'll complete his testimony.
What I'd like to do at this point is advise the jury about what is to happen next. I'm advised that everything is ready to go. So, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you will now be taken to a garage attached to the Waukesha County Courthouse to view the vehicle recovered by the Waukesha Police Department. You will be taken to the garage by the jury bailiffs. During your trip to and from the garage, or while there, you are not to discuss this case with anyone. While at the garage, you are not to talk, and no one is to talk to you about the case except the judge. You are to remain with the other jurors. You are not to conduct an independent investigation now or at any time during the trial. The court is taking the jury to the garage to provide the jury with an opportunity to view the vehicle, as it is not possible to bring the vehicle into the courtroom. Other than the vehicle, anything you see there is not evidence in the case and should not be considered as evidence. At this time, please rise for the jury. And the jury bailiffs will wait until further instructed as to when to bring them over. The question was asked about whether they could bring notebooks, and I instructed that they should not. All right, thank you. Be seated. We will be in recess while the court and the parties participate, or at least observe, the jury view. And given that it's 11:35, unless something unanticipated happens that I would need to put on the record right away, then we also will be taking the lunch break after the jury view. I believe we'll be over there for, let me put it this way. I don't think the process is going to take more than a half hour. I think it will take much less than that. I think what might take more is just getting all of us there and situated. But let's say it takes us to noon, we'll take an hour for lunch. So I would expect the parties to be back here at 1.
Oh,
All right. Thank you, everyone.
I was expecting a short day today, but because I thought they were going to Main Street as well, but apparently the field trip is shorter than I thought. In that case, I'm gonna go take my lunch, and I will see you guys back here in about an hour. So it's been fun hanging out this morning. So see you soon.